Boston. All right. Here it comes. Quiet whore.
It's time to talk wrestling right here on the Joe Cronin Show. And all you shit bums, don't forget to donate in the box below. We all know, Joe, you take that money, you buy those hoes, but that's okay, because we all still love the Joe Cronin Show anyway.
Yes! That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
It is late night. It is late night, bro. We're having like ghost stories over here. I just unplugged my microphone.
Oh, that's not good.
I can't even hear myself right now. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Unplugged his mic. But I can still hear you. So this is weird.
All right, now you can hear me better, probably. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's much better.
And this is why you don't. This is why live just sometimes doesn't work. Well, welcome.
It's also 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's 3:30 in the morning. Shit happens. Welcome to part number 2 of remembering WrestleMania, or whatever we called this, but remembering WrestleMania part 2. If you missed part 1, it was almost 2 hours of us talking about WrestleManias 1 to 10, and the goal of this is that we basically decided we're not going to look up what happened. We're just going to try to remember what we can remember from those WrestleManias. I think I did a pretty good job. I actually looked it up today. I didn't look up the future ones because I wanted to keep it fair.
Well, it doesn't matter. People are going to still think that we probably looked them up and done a little bit.
Maybe. They might believe it, but I really have done nothing. And you'll find that out later as we get into the later WrestleManias that I all moshed together for me. But those first 10, I think I did a pretty good job, and then you really caught on 8, like you said. And now we want to really get into. Let's just start right off, man. We should start off with.
Before we get into too much, though, I do want to ask people to please, if they do enjoy what they hear here, if they want to hear a little more from me, they can always go to my channel, The Best There Is Podcast on YouTube, and subscribe there.
That's right. It's a good idea to mention at the beginning, too.
Yeah.
And it's a good idea for me to get the alert box up in case people do donate. I do want to say about the donations, we don't normally record these things live. So I would say that if you really want to donate something good, go for it. But I would try to advise people away from repetitive $2 donations and things like that, just for this instance, because I wouldn't want it to just take over. Because I may end up, I don't know, I didn't know if I wanted to leave the donations open, and maybe nobody will. It's really late at night. Anyway, let me get the screen up here, though, for us so we can...
I mean, we got people watching, though, right now. So, I mean, it's, we do have people tuning in, and that's great. That makes us feel good, especially for the fact, Joe, that we're doing this 3:45 in the morning.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. This is pretty early.
It's important to for the people to know as well, part 1, if you haven't listened to it, make sure and go listen to it. And for those that have heard it, know that Joe and myself did that last night, and we recorded it. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, it was. We started at about when we're starting this right now, so it's.
and we went on to have
really
a
late.
podcast for about 2 hours, almost 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour podcast. It's crazy. We're crazy. And then my daughter's birthday, so I was like asleep like a zombie all day. I was like, whoa, go get the cake, and I was like, all right, I'll go get the cake. I almost fucking crashed into like 7 poles.
And the funny thing is, if Joe probably hadn't had his daughter's birthday party, there's a good chance we probably would have done WrestleMania 1 to 31. It'd have been a 4-hour podcast. It would have been 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
It would have been awesome.
Dude, it was insane. I mean, this is like the morning show in the UK, or like if you're in, in the Europe or Japan area, or like Asia,
Yeah.
For these people, it's like, wow, I'm, waking up in the morning, going to school, going to work, or whatever they're doing. It's great. But in America right now, it's It's we should not be awake, put it that way.
We're interrupting people masturbating right now in America.
That's awesome, dude. And then, but there's a lot of people in America that can't sleep either. Like I can never sleep. So there you go. So,
I've got insomnia, so things like these for other people that may have certain things like that, sleeping disorders, are probably pumped that we're doing a live show.
That's funny because Nomad Brain says I have insomnia. This is the time of night. Doesn't matter. What's up, Rodriguez? Okay, so we're gonna start this off by basically involving ourselves in what was the worst, maybe one of the worst, if not the worst, WrestleMania of all time. This is...
What's that?
WrestleMania 11.
Oh, God. Yeah.
This is a bad one. Like,
it was
this
real
is... bad. I'll never forget this thing.
I mean, it's one of the ones I wish I could, but unfortunately, it followed up 10, which to me was a huge success. And as a kid, I probably dug it, but now I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, I was kind of into it a little bit. But I mean, Salt and Pepper was there. You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that if you have the WWE Network, though, because they took them out of it, I believe.
Right. So I think nowadays the only way you could see that if you had the old Coliseum video.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I've got it recorded upstairs on I recorded the pay-per-view when it happened, and so I've got Salt and Pepper, like no problem. I can see that. So let's get right into this thing. First of all, this WrestleMania, I know they also fixed problems that they had with the show, but this WrestleMania had all kinds of audio problems and hilarious ones. The whole show was riddled with audio issues, awkward things that happened, but it was full of star power and celebrities like Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Pamela Anderson. It's like they knew that this WrestleMania was going to suck, so they had to bring in all these Hollywood people. Lawrence Taylor, the football player. So they got all kinds of press for WrestleMania 11.
Was that when Lawrence took on Bigelow?
In the main event.
Okay.
And Shawn and Diesel were in the
main event.
Yeah.
Now, I feel bad because it makes me feel like it may make people think that I don't know a whole lot about some of the history of WrestleMania, but this one's very vague with me. Is this the one, Joe, that had... I feel like it was back when Luger and Bulldog had the... Was it not the Mega Power, the Allied Powers?
Yeah, they had...
Didn't they have a match on that show?
They opened the show.
Okay.
Against Jacob and Eli Blue.
Oh, the Blue Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I remember that.
The best part about Lex Luger and the British Bulldog was their music was awesome. Because it was like, they would come out and it was mixed. It was like...
It was like war music.
And then all of a sudden, then it would turn into the British Bulldogs music. So it was like Lex's music. It was Lex Luger's music, and then it would go into British Bulldogs music. So it was like, dun 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 dun. And it was like, I just remember it was Lex Luger and British Bulldogs music mixed, and it was hilarious. I don't know, for some reason it was good.
See, I have a faint memory of that because I think about the only memory I really have of the Allied Powers, because I think that really could have been something that could have went somewhere, but it just didn't.
Yeah.
But I do remember when they took on
it didn't go somewhere because Lex left. That's
What's
what happened. It didn't go anywhere because Lex left.
Right, that was right around the time when that was the time he went to WCW, but I remember when they took on Owen and Yoko. It was on an In Your House for the Tag Team Championship. That was like the big match I remember the Allied Powers being in.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I didn't really remember that, but and what else do I remember this Mania?
Now Razor, he had a match with Jeff Jarrett, right? I remember that one.
Yeah, the Roadie was there. I don't remember.
And I think
the
won
1,
the
2,
IC
3
belt, right? Razor?
I don't remember. I actually don't remember that. I know that the 1, 2, 3 Kid was there too, I think.
But you see, I think the 1, 2, 3 Kid was just accompanying Razor.
I think Razor lost somehow or something didn't work out for him, and 1, 2, 3 Kid had to kick some ass.
Oh, okay.
But I don't really honestly remember that. That's the one downfall to us doing this show and not looking things up, is I can't clarify then,
But it also, I think people could probably respect that we're just like, It's why we're calling it remembering WrestleMania. It's what we remember, you know.
We should have called it trying to remember WrestleMania. That's
we
what it
should
really
have called
is.
it fucking Dementia Mania.
Yeah, trying to remember WrestleMania, not trying to pretend that we know exactly what happened at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wait a minute. Now, where was WrestleMania 11 at? See, I don't remember the location.
It was close to me. I know that it was Connecticut.
Wasn't it in Hartford?
Yeah, see, I thought it was in Connecticut. So there, yeah, it was in Connecticut. It was in Hartford. It was in Hartford. Yeah, Hartford Civic Center, something like that. Hartford, I don't know. Wherever it was had the worst audio ever. It was just like unbelievable. Like you're in your fucking backyard, WWE.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like they did it there too because they knew somebody. You know, it was like that was their worst year with money. I don't know what the hell happened, but that was their. Like, everything was cheap. It was a small building, whatever happened. But then they spent all this money on these celebrities, though. That's what was weird about it.
It's silly because, you know, they packed, 80 fucking people, 80,000 people at, WrestleMania 3, and then they have shows. Because this one, they couldn't have packed any more than, 10, 12,000?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, it wasn't a big... I mean, it's unbelievable that it was WrestleMania. But you know what? Not only was it... But they've done other WrestleManias in a smaller place like that, but I think that was one of the smallest ones. The closest one to that, besides WrestleMania 13, would have been 14 in Boston because it was the Fleet Center.
Well, what about WrestleMania 2? Wasn't there only like 5,000 in one of the locations?
Yeah, we did. We found that. Yeah, it was like 6,000 the other day because one was in Trump Plaza Casino.
Right.
Or whatever, hotel. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, so that was pretty much 11 then, right?
Well, The Undertaker had to have wrestled, and he wrestled King Kong Blowjob.
Oh, yeah, but he beat him, though, right?
Are you joking?
No.
Well, of course he did. He has the streak.
I did. Oh, my God. Fucking, where's my fucking gun?
Yeah, you need to
know that. No. Yeah, now...
Kill yourself.
Wasn't there managers involved though? Like who was King? What did King Kong Bundy? It was like Ted DiBiase or something, right?
He had the $1 million team or something, and then the fucking didn't. All right, I do remember something now. Now you jogged my memory. The fucking urn, the $1 million team or whatever had taken the urn from the Undertaker.
Okay,
and
I did remember something like that.
Yeah, so they had the urn and. I remember it was funny because the Undertaker got the urn back, and I remember Vince McMahon specifically saying during the pay-per-view, he repossessed the urn, he repossessed the urn, and then I think that's the one where Paul Bear pulls the fucking cover off of it and the light goes beaming around into the crowd,
right?
It's ridiculous, but anyway,
over the top silliness, theatrical kind of touch.
Yeah, Bundy sucks. I know that.
I want to save people the fucking typing and the breath. Yes, I knew Undertaker actually won. I want people to be like, how the fuck did Bailey not fucking know that Taker won? He's got the streak. I don't know why that was like a half-assed Bret Hart.
I'm out of Bret Hart now, man. My voice is killing me. All right, so that's okay. And then of course we said the main event, which was Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor. Didn't look right, but he did pretty good, better than I thought he would do in the ring. But he threw these. It was just bizarre. He was
just doing random tackles and shit.
Punches, and Diesel taught him taught him a couple things
how to stand there and not look like you can do anything.
It looked like he was in a fight. I mean, Bam Bam Bigelow really was I don't know, man. It was one of the strangest WrestleManias ever. It was here we're gonna put this football player in the main event at WrestleMania,
right?
And he looked pretty good but he didn't look. But something wasn't right. You know what I mean? He wasn't really wrestling enough. He was. I don't know how to explain it, but it was fucking bizarre, man. It was just the weirdest WrestleMania. One of the worst ones.
Wasn't there more people in that match though, Joe?
In the match?
In the the Lawrence Taylor and Bigelow, was that not a tag or something like that?
No, it
was just a singles match.
It was just Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow, but Bam Bam Bigelow was on the $1 million champion team or whatever. So the $1 million corporation thing was there, and then Lawrence Taylor had all his football player buddies there or something like that.
Oh, okay. See, I remembered seeing multiple people on that WrestleMania card for that match.
And it was the All-Pro team, they called it, or something like that.
Okay.
And
I'm with you now.
Remember Jonathan Taylor Thomas was there. He was looking really sexy.
Really?
Nicholas Turturro was running around. He was annoying. He was like, I remember Bob Backlund was like playing chess with Taylor Thomas, and he like beat Bob Backlund, and like Bob Backlund was like freaking out, and Nicholas Turturro had to put the mic on Jonathan Taylor Thomas so he could react to what Bob Backlund was doing, and he kept not getting the mic there in time, so you didn't really hear what Jonathan Taylor Thomas said, and then like you'd get the end of it, and it was just like more, and Diesel cut a promo, and the audio was screwed up, so they cut away, and he'd been talking and nothing was being heard. Then they went back to him and they fixed the audio. Then it came unplugged while he was talking. Then they fixed it. Then he continued to talk. Then he botched. And then he got upset that he botched. And then he just stumbled. And then he said, but his whole promo was calm. Like he was like being like, well, tonight, you know, Big Daddy Cool, what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden he was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be I'm going to hold on to this belt. And then he started like yelling at the camera, like, and he became uncool Big Daddy. Like it was just fucking hilarious, dude. It was awful. Like the whole thing. They've taken some of this off the network. Like Salt and Pepper's not on there probably for copyright reasons. And the Diesel's botch / flip out promo thing is missing. And it's all funny because all this audio stuff happens, and at the end of the night, you hear something like being plugged in and plugged out, like, and you almost hear the audio fucking up at the end of the night. And Jerry Lawler goes, well, you know, I've been pulling this plug in and out all night. I wonder if that's what's been doing it.
Oh, he actually says that.
Yeah, it's funny as shit.
You know what though? You said Bob Backlund, and for some reason I want to say he had a match that night against, I think it was Bret.
What?
But it was really short.
Oh yeah, I know it was Bret. It was an I Quit match, and Roddy Piper was the referee. I remember all this.
Yeah, I barely remembered that, but I knew for a fact that I saw Bob in a match. It makes me look like a shitty Bret Hart fan that I didn't know that.
It was because it's one of the worst matches. It just was not a good match. It was Bret Hart's worst match, and I'm not sure what the reason is yet, unless I watch the match back. But part of it had something to do with. They kept trying to put someone in a submission and say you quit, say you quit, and then put him in submission, say you quit. So there was no like flow to the match. That's why.
Well, I can tell you right now, Joe, it wasn't my fault. It was a bad match.
Damn it, Bob, say you quit or I'll kick your ass.
It was all Backlund.
It just was weird, and and I think that's why, because usually every Bret Hart match was good. But
that's all I remember from 11.
Yeah, that's that's all you remember?
That's all I remember from WrestleMania. Not that match. I'm just saying what we talked about so far. I can't really think of anything else.
that probably almost is the whole card, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure there's more details, but yeah, because they didn't have a lot of money at the time and things were smaller.
Yeah.
I'm sure Owen Hart was there, and I don't remember what he did, but I'm sure he was there. I think the Smoking Guns were there. Maybe they were in a match in a tag team with them.
Well, I mean, Owen and Yoko were tag champs at the time, so they would probably had a match with somebody.
Okay, maybe it was with the Smoking Guns.
It could have been.
Jacob and Eli Blue, that wasn't a tag team match, I don't think. Maybe that was the tag team title match. I don't know, actually. But anyway, that's all I remember. That's it. WrestleMania 11. There it is.
There you go.
One of the worst WrestleManias there ever was. Except for I remember, too, the ring sounded different. It almost sounded like they put like some metal around the chain on the bottom of it to get that clangy sound. If you go back and... Oh, we forgot Shawn Michaels and Diesel, kind of. We said it, but we skipped over it. Shawn Michaels and Diesel was funny because... The photographers were all around the ring, and Shawn kept like landing in them and hitting one of them, and like just they were in places. As a wrestler, you go to do something and you don't realize there's a photographer going to be standing there. And Shawn almost got hurt going over the top rope, and he like threw a photographer. It was great.
That's awesome.
And this was, I believe, by the way, Diesel's best match. One of Diesel's best matches ever. Top 3, if not the best one. It was my favorite match ever with Diesel. There was never another one.
Yeah, there's not many good matches I can recall from Diesel. As a matter of fact, I know that my favorite match with Diesel was with Bret Hart. They had like a cage match or something on a In Your House pay-per-view, and it was really good.
That's right. There's another one, I'm telling you, there's 3, maybe 4.
Yeah, Diesel sucks.
Kevin Nash too. I'm including Kevin Nash in WCW. I can't even think of a match in WCW really.
It's fucking poop, dude.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, he was a great presence, and like, man, did you want to see him on your TV in many ways, but for many things, but not for. But when it came down to the matches, I don't know, didn't care. But WrestleMania 11, he did a good job there.
Yep.
And Shawn, it was really because he was in there with Shawn, and but what he did was viable too in that match. He never got another chance to do that, but whatever. That match should have been on last, but whatever.
It also helped that they were, best friends. Obviously, they were in the clique, and they probably talked about that match for months and months and months at a time. So
yeah. And Shawn ends up not winning, and I was obviously a big Shawn Michaels fan, so I was really pissed.
That's 2 years in a row now that you're fucking going insane because Shawn's not winning.
Yeah, the one both titles both years, and he moved up. And I remember actually now I remember Sid's promo in the back, and he's like, what does he say? Because it's really funny. They're in the back, and like Shawn's pissed.
Well, if it's got Sid involved, I'm sure it's fucking ridiculously retarded.
Yeah, he's just going off, and like Shawn's like, "You saw it. I had him beat. And Shawn's flipping out because she super kicked him and went to cover him, and Earl Hebner had jumped outside the ring to yell at Sid, and he busted his leg up. And then he comes back in and he doesn't win, and Shawn's like, I had him won. You saw it. It's an injustice type of thing. And then Sid just goes, my man doesn't win the title because of it. And he's just cutting this promo, and he says something like, I forget what he says. Actually, I really forget it, but it's really funny. It was a funny promo. And then right after that time on Raw, Sid ends up turning on Shawn, and he like powerbombed him viciously on Raw. And then Diesel had to come out and like save Shawn's ass, and that's when Shawn flipped finally sort of to a face. But anyway, that's WrestleMania 11. Let's here we go to WrestleMania 12, which is certainly a much better WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
Than 11. They made, they were able to friggin' rebound because 11 was so bad. They rebounded with WrestleMania 12 in many ways. The first thing that I'm sure I'm sure this is another one that we both remember like really well. First thing that I think of is there's a lot of firsts, but the Hollywood Backyard Brawl, Roddy Piper beating up Goldust all over the place. And Stone Cold is wrestling Savio Vega, and like after all this shit went down with Roddy Piper and Goldust beating each other up, they go on this highway chase. And I remember they just kept interrupting Savio Vega and Stone Cold's match to be like, where are they now? And they're on the highway. They did the whole OJ thing. Triple H got buried by Ultimate Warrior.
Fucking buried. I was waiting for you to bring that up. He got buried in like a minute.
Yeah.
He got buried in like a minute by the Warrior, and then like what? A week later, Warrior was gone?
Yeah. I was like, thanks. You buried me.
God damn.
No. Well, he was here for, I just remember, and they brought it up on the self-destruction of the Warrior, but I remember seeing him on Raw a couple weeks later or something like that. And he had the hat on. He had the rivalry with Jerry Lawler going on. And he came out with a hat on. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, what the hell's the Warrior doing wearing a hat? And then to see that self-destruction of the Warrior DVD, like 15 years later or whatever it was, and then Jerry Lawler to be like, why is he wearing this hat? And I was thinking the same thing as a kid. I was like, why does he get this hat on? Oh, my God. But WrestleMania 12 was, obviously the Iron Man match, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
We'll talk about that last.
Yeah, okay. Well, what else did we have then?
Well, you had Taker and Diesel, right? Wasn't that 12? Taker and Diesel?
I guess it was, yeah. I thought that was 13. Oh, that was Bret and
13
Diesel.
13 was Sid and Taker.
Okay. Yeah, actually, to be honest, anything with Diesel all blends into me. Like Bret and Diesel, Sid with Diesel, and fucking it just I hated. I didn't care for any of it. But Undertaker and Diesel. But no. So you think it was Taker and Diesel? Yeah, it was Taker and Diesel because
I feel like it was Taker and Diesel.
You're right.
I'm pretty sure.
I know you're right because I remember seeing Diesel laid out after the tombstone, and I remember it was the only one that had the logo in the middle of the wrestling ring.
Kevin or Diesel, whenever you want to look at it, at this point, that was his last Mania.
Yeah. Well,
because he left like 3-4 months later.
Oh, really? So he wasn't in 13. So I'm thinking Sid is Diesel then. I'm crazy.
Yeah, I know for a fact 13 was Taker and Sid because that's when Taker won the title.
Right.
So yeah, because WrestleMania 12 would have been 1996.
Right.
So because the NWO started in '96. So yeah, that's right. So yeah, Taker and Diesel was WrestleMania 12.
All right. Well, that makes more sense.
And then you had the Body Donnas, weren't they on didn't they like open the show, right? The Body Donnas versus somebody?
That sounds right. I don't remember. I don't remember that one. I remember Body Donnas, I think, but I don't remember who they wrestled.
I know Cornette, it was like the Cornette Foundation or some shit.
Oh, Jake Roberts and Ahmed Johnson and somebody else were tagging against Owen Hart and Yokozuna or something, right?
And Vader, right?
And
Wasn't it Vader?
That was Vader. Yeah, that's what it was. I remember that. And I like that.
Now, that was a good match. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember liking that. And I really liked Jake at the time. I was really pulling for him. He was
pulling the fucking pipe to his mouth, so.
Yeah. I didn't know about that as a 12-year-old. I didn't know he had
No,
problems.
neither did I.
Like a lot of people, I had no idea Jake was on drugs or anything until Stone Cold said, go grab a bottle of Thunderbird. I had no idea what that even meant. I was like, he's going to drive a Thunderbird? Where's he going?
Yeah, he's cruising on the Thunderbird, Joe.
Yeah, like a few years after that, I realized what that promo meant more than it was.
Right.
So yeah, after that, I don't know, Stone Cold and Vega. I don't remember who won.
Oh yeah, they did. They had they had a match. I remember that. I don't remember the match itself, but I do remember them having one.
They had a couple really good ones, but they always went wrong. Like the lights went out for that show once.
The Beware of Dog, right? Wasn't it Beware of Dog when that happened?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Where they had the strap match or whatever, and then they did a pay-per-view on like a Tuesday or something.
Yeah, and then they did one in a house show, I guess, that was really good that was never on TV. So it's like they just couldn't get it done right. Something just wouldn't go right for them.
Yeah.
Okay, we've named a lot of things so far, and now
that has to be the card. We pretty much said everything.
I really can't.
Because we mentioned, so you recapping it, we mentioned that there was like the Cornette Foundation versus Ahmed Johnson and Jake Roberts and all that. Then you had the burial of Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah.
And then you had Diesel and Taker, right? And then what was Savio and Stone Cold.
And Piper and Goldust was like on and off all night.
Yeah. So that's about right because they had to leave a ton of time for
over an hour of the Iron Man match.
Yeah, and because they had to do like 10 minutes for both of their entrances, and then they had the overtime and all that. So yeah,
Shawn coming down from the ceilings, obviously a big memorable thing.
Oh yeah. What I remember, Joe, a lot from that match was, and I love watching the tons of promos because I make them and stuff too. But the promo for the build up to the Iron Man match between Shawn and Bret is nothing but pure art.
Yeah.
Where it's got like Bret, he's like, training, running through the city and stuff like that, and talking about how this match is the biggest thing that's ever happened in his life, blah blah blah. It was just it's a really like heartfelt package, and it's kind of like the way they have them built with UFC nowadays. They make them feel so fucking legitimate because they're real in UFC, but like. Back then as a kid, you're watching that, you're like, oh my God, if Bret loses, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, no, you thought that? Yeah, I can't even.
Because you're thinking the same thing for Shawn.
Yeah, because I'm sick. Well, first of all, yeah, because this is, for me, it's different. Like, I liked Bret too, but like, to me, like, I really did. I did love Bret Hart. But I'd seen Bret Hart win the title. And I've already been obsessed with Shawn Michaels since he turned on Jannetty. The minute that Shawn Michaels threw him through a window, I was like, I don't know why, I think this guy is awesome. And part of it was me liking how he wrestled subconsciously as a 7-year-old. But also part of it was just that like I couldn't believe he did that, and I was so like into the bad guy for some reason. And so then seeing him, have the Intercontinental title for a while was great, but once I really became more cognizant and more like obsessed with when I watch my team, I want to see them win, or when I watch my guy, I want to see him win. Well, at that time, Shawn lost that match to Razor at WrestleMania 10 that we talked about in part 1 of this video that you guys can go back and watch if you haven't seen it. You got to watch part 1. So he loses there. Then he loses at WrestleMania 11. and I'm furious because I'm an 11-year-old kid, and I'm thinking, the goddamn referee, get in the friggin' ring and count. What the hell? Shawn should be champion. I hate Diesel. So now that's 2 years he loses and he can't get a title. And now for this to be the third year, and it's Iron Man match. If he had lost, I would have been enraged, and I was enraged as I saw Bret Hart walking to the back with the title. I was like, unbelievable that this shit happens again. Gets stuck in the ropes, referee falls out of the ring, hurts his leg, and now this shit. That's what I was thinking as an 11-year-old, sort of.
Well, and the thing is, Joe, what's awesome is hearing you talk about it like that, because the amazing part is with your story is you get the greatest outcome that you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, there's a young Justin Bailey with his fucking Bret shades on his head at home, watching this fucking. Actually, you know what? I didn't watch that pay-per-view live. Somebody had taped it on a tape, and I got to watch it like a week later. But there I am with my fucking shades on, praying that Bret wins, and then he's headed towards the back, and I still remember to this day. I'm like, no, like he didn't actually win. What's happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have the overtime, and obviously we're going to talk about it a little more, but when Shawn hit the first Sweet Chin Music, I remember like flipping out and jumping up like, oh my God, no, Shawn is not going to win. And then Bret gets back up. I'm like, you got it, Bret, you got it. And he hit him again. And I just imagine, I don't know if it happened, I can just imagine like falling to my knees when I was a little kid. And when fucking Shawn hit the second Chin Music on him and then pinned him, I do remember crying.
Yeah, that was your WrestleMania 10 for you then, because that's how I felt with Razor.
Yeah, it's true. Like when Shawn lost, you were probably crying and stuff. But I remember legitimately
because you were probably
crying.
my age too. Because you were probably, how old were you when that happened? 9?
When Bret lost?
Yeah, you're probably 9.
Yeah, I was like 9.
And I was 10 when Shawn lost to 10.
I was legitimate. Well, no, I wasn't 9. I was younger than that. I would have been like
8?
7.
Oh.
I've been like 7 or 8. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was.
Okay, maybe I was 8. Yeah, because 1996, I would have been 8. And so I remember full fucking fledged crying that Bret lost. So imagine this little fucking kid crying, holding my pink Bret shades in my hand, like fuck.
I feel bad for. I always felt bad because I really did like Bret a lot, but I always felt bad because, and I think this played into his character because I think a lot of people were like this. I think that, I did like Bret, and at first when Stone Cold came on the scene, a lot of people don't remember maybe when he first was really going into this Stone Cold character. Before they gave him that name, as he started to be crazy, he came off like a goddamn serial killer, and you were like, this guy is crazy. What's wrong with this guy?
Are you talking about the Ringmaster?
No, right after the Ringmaster sort of faded away, as he started to get that attitude.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, this guy is a mean person. Like, this is horrible. And then what he was doing to Bret Hart and everything, and I was like, he's kind of a dick. And but once the King of the Ring happened, it was like, I wanted Jake the Snake Roberts to win that.
Wait a minute, I'm confused real quick. How did we get here?
What do you mean?
To Stone Cold winning King of the Ring. I'm just confused.
What I'm trying to get at is that I bailed on Bret for Stone Cold.
I
bailed on Bret for Shawn. I didn't bail on him, but I overlooked him more for Shawn. And then, even though I liked Bret, and I have Bret Hart T-shirts, and I went to the arena to see Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in Boston, and I loved it, and and I really did. I had the shades and everything, but I wasn't like, but I wanted to be Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart. Yeah. I really liked Bret Hart, and I really liked him, but there was something more about Shawn, and then also something more about Stone Cold when he became that Stone Cold thing, and WrestleMania 13, man. I wanted Stone Cold to win, and it felt weird because I spent all these years wanting like I want Bret to win, but it was like WrestleMania 9. Like, think about it. Just think about this. This is really weird. WrestleMania 8, Roddy Piper and Bret. I actually liked Roddy Piper more, but I loved Bret in that match. I still loved him. So even as an 8-year-old, I liked Bret Hart, but I liked Roddy Piper. And
so you're telling me you're always fighting on wishing Bret would win, but you're never really rooting for him.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Like he My favorite Ninja Turtle is Raphael. I don't know if that has something to do with it. Because I think, like, I don't like Leonardo. He bothers me. And because he's like, I'm the leader, and yeah. And, like, I feel like Bret Hart's kind of like that. So, like, I like the Damage character more.
Right.
So, like, Roddy Piper, like, he's going to hit him with the bell, and it's like, oh, God, like, don't do that. And then he doesn't. And I'm like, oh, man, that's great, you know. And then he gets beaten for doing that. And I liked Piper because he was a little out there. But I did like Hart. So, like, I kind of picked Roddy Piper over Bret in that match.
So you didn't like Bret because he was a little too straight.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you kind of like, you were okay with kind of the outcast guys, is what you're saying. That was the reason you rooted for them, because they were kind of the outcast.
Right. And
I can get behind that.
And I grew up a big Hulkamaniac because I was a little kid and Hulk Hogan just was attractive. You know, as that type, not like sexually, but, you know,
well,
as...
he could be, you know.
Could, yeah.
There's something about that gold hair and that fucking stash that really just gives me a fucking raging hard on.
Yeah, I take out that pulsating Bulk Hogan.
Dude.
But no, so at WrestleMania 9, I'm sitting there like hoping Bret Hart beats Yokozuna. But I'm not crazy, but I'm like, you know, man, I hope I hope Bret Hart beats Yokozuna. I hope this is going to be good. And then when he loses or whatever, gets cheated, and then Hogan wins, I'm like, yeah, Hogan, you know? And I can say that only WrestleMania 10 was the only time when I was like really like fucking Bret Hart, like yeah, like fuck,
because you were forced to do that or root for a big fat ass fucking Samoan.
Right. But I didn't like Luger either. I hated Luger.
Oh yeah, God, because Joe, was that not the double year, right?
Yeah.
For the Rumble.
Yeah.
That was sickening. I remember that because that was it's looked at, you know, that was when Vince was trying to pump the new train for Luger to be the next Hogan, and the fans did not want that, and they wanted Bret.
Yeah, that's why
I'm with you now.
I was fully behind Bret for that because I was like, like I like this Bret Hart. I hope Luger doesn't beat him.
I do want to say my closing statement on WrestleMania 12, and Joe, you know, you being the big Shawn guy, and I was the big Bret guy, and you got the payoff, and I didn't. I will say this real quick too. I was never a Shawn guy. In my younger days, I didn't get into Shawn until his return when he came back in the early 2K. But I remember always hating Shawn, and I think that hurt me like even more when Bret lost. That I hated Shawn so much, and him winning was so crushing to me. Not only did my hero lose the match, there was a fucking, you know, some dick-sucking douchebag now, like the new champ. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he came out, he's a pompous douchebag. He's swaying his fucking dick in the air and stuff, you know. He just, like, that was just not the guy I wanted to win. But the thing I wanted to state the most was, nowadays, the one thing I can appreciate, too, about that, obviously being the match itself and the great workers Shawn and Bret both are, is if that outcome hadn't have happened, we would most likely have not gotten one of the greatest matches of all time the next year at WrestleMania, and that was Stone Cold and Bret Hart.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened. I want you to think about this too. I love Shawn, and I was dancing around, and I was waiting years to see him hold that belt. So for me, it was like this insanely like 7-year payoff. But as a kid, but if you go back and watch that, anyone, if you watch the end of the match, it's awful because Shawn Michaels. What happens is, as soon as he wins and he's being handed the belt, he tells Earl Hebner, "Tell Bret to get the fuck out of the ring."
Yeah, he tells him, like, so he can have his fucking moment or something.
But then it doesn't end there though. He then Earl Hebner makes a face kind of like, oh, like Earl Hebner doesn't want to go tell this to Bret. But Earl Hebner walks over to Bret and goes, "Hey Bret, you know, get out of the ring." You can see what he does. Then after that happens, now Jose Lothario or whatever the hell, Shawn Michaels' trainer guy, and I never believed that, but whatever. He's there and he's going to get in the ring, and Earl Hebner walks up to him and says something to him, and then he gets back out and leaves, and he doesn't come in the ring to give Shawn a hug or anything like that. And
there's the fucked up Shawn Michaels that's so talked about to the day.
Then Earl Hebner puts the belt around Shawn Michaels, putting the belt on him. And Shawn then, once it's on, turns to Hebner as Hebner's saying something to him, and Shawn pushes Earl Hebner away from him, like get the fuck out of here. And so he literally disses all three of those guys, like to be like,
Yep.
give me my, which in part this, and here's the other thing about that. Bret Hart is clearly, Shawn Michaels is clearly a dick, but Bret Hart is also clearly an egomaniac, because I feel like most wrestlers, and Hulk Hogan was a little bit like this too. Like when most wrestlers lose, the other guy rolls out of the ring and just leaves. Doesn't even whatever. But for some reason, like Hulk Hogan like would linger around with the Warrior to make sure to put him over and hug him.
And make sure he was on camera.
Yeah, make sure he was still on camera. Like Bret Hart wanted to linger around, and when Bret Hart was still lingering, Shawn was kind of like, get the fuck out of here, So, because Bret would like try to keep making it about him. So the two egos just crashing. But for him to say like, F Bret, get him out. F Jose Lothario, get him out. F you, Hebner, get out of here. And I know Shawn at like 2 years later, before WrestleMania started, Earl Hebner had an aneurysm, and Shawn said, "This is for you, Earl," before we went out wrestle. I know Shawn loves Earl Hebner, but he totally treated him like shit in that.
Of course he loves fucking Earl Hebner. Earl Hebner helped fuck Bret Hart a year later.
Well, all right, so there we go. There's Mania 12. I said everything.
That was a really fun WrestleMania to go over, because like I was saying, Joe was the Shawn guy, I was the Bret guy, and it's a great iconic match to talk about, because there were probably a lot of kids, Joe, that were waiting for Shawn to get his moment, and there were probably those diehard Bret Hart.
I don't think there
like
was
myself.
a lot. I don't think there was a lot of Shawn Michaels people waiting to get a moment, because
There was probably more than we think there was, though.
maybe. But you gotta think about this too. Is he wasn't a face until he'd only been a face for like 10 months, maybe 9 months.
Yeah.
And they'd only been starting to get him as a face for 9 months. But so for me, like I was actually annoyed by it, because I said, no, I've loved him since he was in the Rockers and when he turned on Jannetty. I liked him as a bad guy. So I felt like I would get like agitated by like people who were like, I like Shawn now. By the way, I did not like Shawn's babyface run. I loved the Shawn that was a dick. That's what I loved.
No. You're absolutely right. Shawn's babyface run was not very good. I mean, his matches were good, but him as a babyface sucked.
Yeah, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the girls, the kids. Like, it was just getting weird. It was. I liked the bad Shawn, and so anyway, that was. Anyway, we should move on. But I keep just thinking about the feelings I had about that whole thing.
Well, it was special, and I think that's the greatness about this whole remembering WrestleMania thing. That's what we remember. Oh, and by the way, quick fact too: I feel bad for Shawn having to get kisses from some of the fucking women he probably had to get kisses from.
Yeah, there'd be like big fat girls with the Shawn Michaels heart glasses on.
Or maybe some fucking cold sores on their lips or some shit.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of... I bet you, Justin, if there's a lot of people in America listening to us right now going to bed, like with the headphones, it's funny.
That's cool, though, man. I mean, like, honestly, I don't know what we're doing number-wise, but I'm sure it's probably not too bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure at least, 20, 40 people maybe listening?
I mean, yeah, but no, there's about 40-something. And everybody can tell us where they're watching tonight, like in the U.S., are you in Canada, are you in U.K., are you in Japan?
Yeah, let us
Netherlands?
know in the chat where you guys are from, because like Joe said, I think Joe, I do the same thing Joe does. Sometimes when I go to bed at night, I put headphones in, I listen to other podcasts and stuff, so if people are listening to us as they're going to bed, that's cool.
Yeah, I love that. I do that all the time. I masturbate too. I go to bed. No,
Dude, you masturbate to my voice too?
Yes.
God damn, we should do it at the same time on the phone.
You really are the best there is.
Damn straight.
No, but what was I gonna say? Dude, Bret Hart and Shawn rivalry was so good. Like, if you missed it,
Man, damn, you bounced back quickly from that, didn't you?
I got right back into that. Yeah.
No, you're right, and it is time, obviously, to move on. But again, I think we're both showing that was a very, very special WrestleMania for that reason alone.
Right.
Because it was huge. That match was.
I never thought back in like 96, 97, 98, 99. I never thought back in 96, 97, 99. In those late 90s, I never thought that one day I'd be sitting here like an old person talking about like, oh, remember back in the... you had no idea about that. You were just like living in the moment. Like, this is just like any wrestling fan now. But what does a wrestling fan now say? You know what I mean? What do they say now? Like, because then I said, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, this is amazing. And like Stone Cold this and that and whatever else. Hulk Hogan, Warrior, all these things we had to do. And I feel like as a wrestling fan now, I would be like, this sucks. Like, it's just like, I don't even... How could you...
But as kids, though, like, we looked at this like the Holy Grail.
But as a kid, I knew WrestleMania 11 was weird and bad, and as a kid, I knew that Shawn Michaels' babyface run was kind of stupid. So like, I would know this sucks now too. You know, I would know.
Right. And I think I compare myself to like I compare the way I felt about Shawn versus Bret would have been, the way my dad was feeling about, Tyson's next fight. That was my fight, like Shawn and Bret.
Right.
Because my dad was a big boxing fan. So like when, the next Tyson match was coming up, he was, salivating. But when Bret and Shawn were going to be taking on each other for 60 minutes, I got to watch these guys battle for an hour, which was like the Holy Grail. That was huge.
It was huge. It was a great time. We have a lot of people. Justin, what was I going to say? Oh, there's a lot of people from Australia watching us. There's at least 4 people from Australia.
That's cool, man. That's great.
I don't know what that sounded like like a person in the South trying to do it.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. So fuck me for even trying.
That's so funny. I'm drinking beer. I'm drinking.
Wait, you're
Foster's.
drinking beer right now?
Yeah, I'm drinking Michelob Ultra. That was all that was in the fridge.
God damn, now I gotta go pour another fucking drink, dude.
You do. Go drink
I do.
God damn it, go drink it.
It's gonna be a double shot.
Yeah,
too.
I
gotta get caught back up with Cronin.
Our chunk of Australian audience is watching, and people in the U.S. and the California people are watching too, because it's
cool, man. I'm glad everybody's watching. Cool.
It's only 1 a.m. in California, so.
Well, it's fucking 4 for us.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. Okay, so we're starting into WrestleMania 13.
Right.
I fucking hold on a second. I'm thinking real hard here.
2 matches is all that's coming to my brain right now. Is 2 matches.
I remember I remember China damn near killing Marlena. It's like swinging her around like a rag doll. That was Hunter Hearst Helmsley and took on Goldust, and Marlena, she was like, China was there and she was swinging her around like a psycho.
I'd swing China.
I'm pretty sure Triple H won the match, but I don't remember anything else about it. It was pretty good.
Sable, the hottest diva of all time, yes or no?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Okay, let me ask you a quick
bang
question
her.
here, right?
I mean, I would jerk off to her, but
Sonny or Sonny or Sable?
Like Sonny then?
Yeah, not Sonny now.
Oh man, that's
she'd steal your Hall of Fame ring.
Sonny's my type. Sonny's more my type. I would have liked Sonny because she's like a
fucking main. She's crazy.
She's crazy, and I like that. Yeah,
she's the kind of girl you would want to fuck anywhere but the bedroom.
Yes, yeah, I would. Oh, dude, I would have definitely been with Sonny.
Anyways, so you were saying?
Yeah, Sable's like the one that like I'd hook up with her if she was really drunk because I'd be intimidated by her big tits. No, I'm just kidding. I'd bang her. What else?
Great. She had great tits.
Yeah, but she was older too, wasn't she? Like it was weird that she like was.
Yeah, she was like, wasn't she like mid-30s, maybe late 30s when she took off?
Yeah, she was real cute when she put that ponytail thing in, that long braided thing where she like had the boxing shorts. Oh, it was really cute.
Dude, Lesnar is tapping that right now.
Oh yeah.
As we speak, he texted me and said he was fucking right now.
I forgot he was with her. How the hell did that happen?
Dude, I don't know. But just imagine Sable probably licks his ass.
Oh, the man who wanna be me. What does she look like now, though? I mean, I don't even know.
Sable?
Yeah.
I think the last picture I saw of Sable, she wasn't looking the greatest. But I won't say that I wouldn't have totally banged her. But she doesn't look as good as she did on like that SummerSlam 2001 poster. Do you remember that one? That was like one of the big ones that I remember.
I don't remember it.
It was like, that blue and green logo, and it was just coming up like her tits and her cooch.
I don't remember. That sounds amazing, though.
Oh, here, if I pull, well, I better not pull it up. That wouldn't end well. But yeah, it's again. I don't know how of course, I brought us to the Sonny versus Sable. Who would you rather bang? But you were talking about Sonny. What, China almost killing Sable?
No, Marlena.
Marlena. Oh, okay, I'm with you.
I think Triple H won. I don't remember anything else. I think that, and that's it. I remember, of course. I think that Shit, dude, I forget everything else. I remember Undertaker, Psycho Sid. We mentioned that WWE Championship.
That's the one of two that I remember. Honestly, that's all I remember is two matches from this pay-per-view.
Bret Hart and Stone Cold. Obviously the best match.
And I'll wait till we're almost ready to move on because we're going to talk about Stone Cold and Bret for a good 5-10 minutes.
I don't remember anything else. I think there was a lot of like 2-on-2 matches things, and I don't know.
This was the night that Undertaker became the two-time WWF champion, right? His second title win?
Yes.
Because obviously he beat Hogan with the super protected chair shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then he won against Psycho Sid on this night. But so are we pretty much to the end? We're okay to talk about Bret versus Steve?
Yeah, I don't remember anything else. So
okay,
yeah, I think the Rock was there, but I don't remember who he wrestled.
Was he? Now he would have been. He wasn't IC champion yet, though, was he?
I don't. Maybe I don't know.
He might have been. Anyways, so you had mentioned that you were rooting for Stone Cold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. People that follow me on the Best There Is podcast, which you can go and subscribe to on YouTube, by the way, know that I'm a diehard Bret Hart fan, and this is literally my favorite Bret Hart match of all time.
I thought
for many different reasons.
I thought he was whining, and I thought he was crying, and I was getting sick of him. And then Stone Cold was just so crazy. I thought it was cool, and I felt bad, but I turned on him, and yeah. But you're right. Continue. I'm sorry.
But no, that's good you said that because the beauty of this match was, as a kid, because at this point, I've been a Bret Hart fan for about 4 years, right? Well, I mean, a diehard. He was the only guy that mattered other than Razor Ramon. So I was noticing throughout this match, like you said, it was great you pointed it out, Joe, that Bret was coming off very whiny, and Bret was doing the very thing that he was doing the thing that I didn't see him do, which is why I loved him so much. He didn't have to use chairs, and he didn't have to cheat by grabbing the ropes. He started doing that stuff, and I'm thinking as a little kid, I'm like, wait, why is he cheating? He shouldn't be a cheater, Obviously, I'm pretty young. But the thing was, here's the beauty of it, Joe. Yeah. Stone Cold was doing things that was very frowned upon by my parents and stuff. He's fucking flipping the ref off because he's in, super, pain from a submission. There's this certain point in that match where, because Ken Shamrock was the guest referee.
Yeah.
He's asking Steve, do you give up? Do you give up? And Steve looks at him, just gives him the double bird. And I remember as a kid, I'm like, oh, he gave him the finger. That guy's cool, right?
Right.
The moment Bret hit him with the chair, I remember as a kid, I'm like, oh no, he's going to get disqualified. Why is Bret doing this? He doesn't need that chair to win. But I remember as a kid when Stone Cold hit Bret back with the chair, I was almost kind of like, yeah, he kind of deserved it.
Right.
And I remember this was the match that kind of turned me against Bret. And this was actually where I finally, this is when I moved on to kind of Stone Cold.
And that's what they wanted to do, too. The whole point, we didn't really know it at the time. But
it worked, didn't it?
Yeah, the whole point was to flip Bret. But the reason why they decided to do it was because this was already happening. A portion of the crowd was already deciding, I don't like this Bret. It's kind of like a portion of the crowd deciding, I don't like Joe anymore.
Yeah,
it's the same type of thing. So they decided to flip it. People are in the chat are mentioning where they're from. Someone says Justin Bailey looks like Joe with glasses.
That's funny because I put glasses on Joe when I fuck him.
Clinton G20 says it's 9:60 in Ireland or something. 9:30.
So we got all the international people tuning into the show.
Yeah, we're all over the place here.
We're grabbing the audience, Joe. We're expanding the Cronin brand.
Dash is in Kuwait.
Nice.
Do we get Denmark? Josh Hampton's in Mass, I guess. So he's not far away from me.
Well, everybody in the chat, man, hit the thumbs up on the video. Send that like button facing the upward area. Let's get this video up there, man. This is awesome. I'm having fun.
Leonardo Phillip is in Australia. There's a couple other people in Australia too. But
that's cool, Mike.
Mitchell,
was that any better?
Yeah, you kind of sounded like Jason Jack Miller a little bit. So yeah, you must be getting better with the accent.
That's cool, man. So I do the rest. No, see that.
No,
then I went.
Gone now. It's gone. Hello.
Hi, Mike.
We have the weirdest accents here, though. We have like 6 different dialects. Anyway, so no, this
So
was...
we're talking Stone Cold turning, doing the very thing, Joe, that they wanted to do.
Right.
Continue.
And the best thing was like the intensity of the match, and anything was on the table. You felt like these guys wanted to kill each other. Stone Cold using the electrical cord, then the belt, using the belt to the back of the head. It just seemed vicious, and it made the use of like a bell and a chair and a cord. It was almost like as impactful as a big spot. Like a big wrestling spot that we get a pop. Like every big blow, was amazing. It was like it was just so good. Stone Cold, I think he went flying into the guardrail at one point or something, or Bret Hart super kicked someone sitting in a chair. I don't. Maybe that was Shawn and Bret. I don't remember. But anyway, the match was so good. And they built it up, and then by the time when you get to the end, with Stone Cold bleeding, and it was Stone Cold went flying in that guardrails would cut him open.
Big time, by the way.
I mean, this was, you remember Vince, because they didn't use blood a lot, or almost ever, really.
He was bleeding like a stuck pig, bro.
And Vince is like, you don't see this in the World Wrestling Federation very often. He's like apologizing for it.
Yeah.
And it was just...
Jim Ross, he helped out Stone Cold so much in this match.
Yeah.
Jim Ross made you really feel bad for Stone Cold and really helped out that turn for people to tag on to Stone Cold. And something really important to realize, though, too, as a Bret Hart fan, I mean, this is why this is great podcasting, because I take this from the aspect of being a Bret Hart fan.
Yeah.
And watching me slowly, like, this Stone Cold guy is a badass motherfucker. The dude is bleeding all down his face, and this dude ain't giving up. To Bret Hart, who I've been rooting for 4 years and doesn't lose very often.
Yeah.
And the thing was, as a Bret Hart fan, once Stone Cold, just passed out, in the pool of blood, I'm looking, and I remember as a kid, I'm watching something that I probably shouldn't be watching because it turned really bad.
Yeah, it did. It turned like crazy. I remember even my, I think I was 13. I was 13 because it was WrestleMania 13. And I do remember my mother being like, well, what are you, like, what is this? Like, I don't know. Like,
I watched it like 3 weeks later, Joe, on tape because my uncle would order it. So I didn't get to see it till like 3 weeks after it happened. But of course, when I was that age, I still hadn't seen Raw or anything like that yet. So because I wanted to see the tape. So I didn't know anything, but I remember when we were watching, I was the same way. My mom was all like, this is getting really bad, Randy saying to my dad. My dad's just like, oh, leave it on. I like it, because it turned really
real.
like mature with all the blood and stuff.
It got real, man. It was like...
It did. It got real. And something to notice, too, because that would have been Bret's last WrestleMania. As a Bret Hart fan still after that match, it was a hard year for me after that. Because Bret turned into the shitty dickhead Canadian. Like, how does a kid in America root for his hero when he's a shithead Canadian dude in a different country talking shit about the country that I like? What kind of person I am.
I'm embarrassed to say that I was like, I hated Canada, man. I was like, fuck Canada, fuck those people. I was enraged every Monday Night Raw because part of what made me pissed off was, like, in America, we really didn't do anything. We just kind of cheered for Stone Cold. But in Canada, they were chanting, like, U.S. sucks and stuff. And I was like, we're not doing that to them. What the fuck is wrong with them? And
we hated the Hart Foundation.
Yeah.
We hated them. They were the poster boys for Canada, and they hated America.
It was just so good. You'll never see that again. You will never see that. You could be in Michigan or in New York, and the people would be booing Bret Hart and cheering Stone Cold, and like thumbs down to Canada. Then they would cross the border by an hour and get wherever they were.
Total flip flop. And
the crowd hated America, and they were cheering Bret Hart. I mean, that will never happen like that again. I mean, it's crazy.
You know what, though? When Cena versus Rusev happened, if you would go today and go to, like, Russia, right?
Bulgaria.
That's who they represented. If they had gone there.
Yeah, Russia, yeah.
they probably would have gotten the same reaction.
But the one thing is, like, even when you would have a U.S. heel, like, people wouldn't cheer for them because they're from the U.S. Like, if Kurt Angle was a heel, you know, the Americans would boo him, you know?
Yeah.
And there's some countries, too, where they do, like, you know, the local guy, and then he's a heel, and he's like, yeah, you know, and he would get booed still. So that's why I say, like, people still, even if you're a dick, even if you're like, I'm Mr. American or Mr. Canada, they'll still boo you there. They'll still boo you. It doesn't matter if you're saying you're Russian or you're American or you're, you know, representing the Swedes or you're representing the Finns or whoever, whatever it is. If you're a dick, the people still boo you. But in this rare instance, it was like Canada was literally cheering for Bret Hart, and he was a dick bad guy. And Stone Cold was being cheered by the Americans, and he was kind of a dick bad guy. They were both bad guys, and we were cheering. It was just great. You'll never see that again.
That's when it comes that you're, at this point, you're just rooting for whoever guy represents your country, regardless if Stone Cold was still a heel.
Right.
And, you know, I remember my dad just like, he was looking at Stone Cold like, this dude's fucking, you know, he's a brawler, likes to drink beer. My dad was on board at that point.
Yeah.
You know, like, because he had to sit there and watch it with me, and I'm always, you know, rooting for, you know, Bret and these fucking pink tights trying to pin this big old fat dude or something, you know. But finally, you know, there's these pissed off Canadians, and then there's this dude who's fucking, you know, I don't think at that time Stone Cold was doing the beer thing yet. But, you know, Stone Cold was just this badass fucking flipping people off, didn't give a shit. And, like, I remember as a kid, I'm looking back at my dad every time he'd do something crazy like that. My dad just be like, oh, shit, yeah, thumbs up, you know. He was in it, you know.
I think the Canada thing was added on me, too, because I'm from Boston, and we hate the Montreal Canadiens. Like, we hate the Montreal Canadiens. Like, whatever your team is that hates another team, like, we hate each other. Like,
I'm going to take what you just said and splice it up and just cut out Montreal. That way, it just you saying, we hate Canadians, and I'm going to send it to Dave Rose.
Okay. Yeah, Joe doesn't like Canadians.
Did you hear this shit, Dave?
But
fucking, he hates Canadians.
So when they would go to Montreal a lot in that time. So
yeah.
When they were in Montreal, not only were those people booing us and hating it was like a Bruins game, like, oh, when the Bruins are in Canada or something, and it added, it was extra for me. Like, I don't know how many people in the country, you know, didn't like a Canadian hockey team like we do over here in the Northeast, but so it was extra hate. It was like, I really don't like these guys, and obviously I love Canada, and like now, like, I mean, I was just a kid, so they hated us, we hated them. It was really just a play. You know, if we all sat next to each other, it would have been probably a good time. But it was.
But you were represented characters, is what you were
That's
watching.
what we were doing. We were playing a character. It's funny. The thing about Bret Hart that I don't like, though, I think he's foolish. I think he's kind of like wrong in that documentary. He's like, you know, the Americans wanted to be the bad guy. They wanted to be hated and everything. It was like, well, no, I mean,
no, that's not right though.
But that's what he says. But it's like, well, not really. I mean, your fans were there was never a Canada sucks chant on Raw. There was a U.S. sucks chant in Canada. So, like, you know, for you to say that it was just the Americans that wanted to be the bad guy, you know, both crowds wanted to be the bad guy because at the time, people liked the bad guy.
Well, yeah, and it's like, you know, Bret can say what he wants. I love Bret to death, but yeah, he's stubborn. He's an egomaniac. The thing he was mad about was people didn't want to root for the guy that was, you know, he was walking around. He was good. He was just a good guy. You know, he played by the rules, blah blah blah. You know, and then out of nowhere, people wanted to root for the guy that told it how it was, flipped off the referee, didn't care to go out every night and flip people off and drink beer. That's what people turned to root for. You know, that's why people are fucking into Donald Trump and shit. I know that. I don't know how we got there.
Thing. It is,
but
no,
it is. It's the same thing. People are totally expunged from hearing that that cliche political talk. And now here's a guy like Trump saying, you know, Muslims are all terrorists. But like the comparison is, people got tired of rooting for that perfect good guy who never did no wrong. Then you get Stone Cold. He's, you know what I mean? He's a fucking dude that just came out of the bar and is fighting people.
Yeah. It was great, dude. It was a great time, and that's so funny. And that is what Trump is. It's so funny. It's why I like Trump for many reasons, because even though I don't agree with him on like a bunch of stuff, but I mean, I just like that he's like, I don't give a shit. You know, that's what I like about him. And
you have to respect him for just telling it how it is, for not trying to sugarcoat things.
I just like that he's not lying. He's probably not gonna get elected because a little crazy, but
he's doing what politicians aren't supposed to, and he's
yeah.
saying what he's thinking.
It's amazing. I should run for president because if he can get away with what he's doing, I'll be the fucking Democratic version of that. I mean, let's go.
We'll have a special show on the Cronin Show, you know, Joe's State of the Union.
Well, Joe makes the State of the Union address. You will vote for me, America, because I will fuck up Donald Trump. And that's the fucking hat. That's the fucking shirt. I'll fuck up Donald Trump. And you know, anyway, I won't die like Bernie Sanders. There's on the back. You know,
right.
He's gonna die soon.
Okay, so Stone Cold and, you know, Bret, the match ends. Obviously, the end of the night was Undertaker and Sid, right? So, again, the best match from that pay-per-view was Stone Cold and Bret, right?
Yeah, Stone Cold and Bret was the whole fucking show right there.
Yeah.
And,
beautifully choreographed, too.
Oh, and let's add to this point of Bret Hart, you know, kind of going heel. Ended up flipping and going heel by the end of this match. During Taker's match with Sid, Shawn Michaels was on commentary. And Bret Hart keeps coming down to get involved in the match and basically causes Sid to get distracted, and then Undertaker tombstones him.
Yeah.
And Shawn's calling him a baby and everything. It was
well, because Joe wasn't, because Stone Cold and Bret, that was their blow-off match. They had a couple of matches on some In Your Houses, and the whole Ken Shamrock being the guest referee was the whole, he's going to keep order no matter what. So I think that was their blow-off match. And then, you know, the Bret and Shawn thing would lead to the, you know, the Survivor Series thing. It'd be a pretty big build-up, right?
Oh, yeah, that was a huge build-up. Bret Hart and Survivor Series, that was a pretty good match, too. But
I think what we're trying to tell fans, too, especially is WrestleMania 13 was Bret Hart's last WrestleMania. Like, he was gone this year.
I mean, it's like the last memory of his WrestleMania was, you know, him crying a bunch and Stone Cold looking like a champ, and then, you know, of course, the Montreal Screwjob. So he really, like, his stock, he came crashing down, and then WCW did not capitalize on him at all. WCW was retarded with Bret
That's
Hart.
A podcast for another day.
It is another thing. We should move.
Bret Hart being handled in WCW. It's a great topic.
We should do it. We'll do it.
Yeah. But so let's Joe, let's move to 14.
Which we did your hometown WrestleMania, and now we get to do my hometown WrestleMania.
Here we go. I can't wait, man.
This thing was amazing for me because if you guys know, you know, as we know, I started watching wrestling when I was 5 years old, and at 5 years old I went back and watched 1, 2, 3, 4. Or it might have been 4. I can never remember if 4 was the first one I saw or 5, but I'm pretty sure it was 5, and I went back and watched 4. So anyway, here we are, you know, 9 years later after being 5 years old, WrestleMania 14. This shit is going rampant in my middle school. I'm in 7th grade, 8th grade or 7th grade, one of the two. Maybe it was 8th grade, but whatever. This shit is everywhere. All the kids are into wrestling again. WCW, WWF, it's going crazy. Wrestling is starting to reach a fever pitch. And in fact, if WWE had known this was going to happen or it had happened earlier, they probably wouldn't have had the WrestleMania in Boston. But at the time, you know, they're booking these WrestleMania, areas a year before. So you're booking for your budget the year before. You know, Hartford was booked because they were screwed. And then WrestleMania 12 and 13 were both in small venues. I think 13 was in Chicago, maybe. 13.
I'm trying to think. I think you're right, Joe.
If it was in Chicago, I think it was. And these were just like, so they were really trying to go to the main cities where they had a good audience. Like they were trying to go to their top audience areas. Look at New York, Connecticut, and then Chicago. I forget where 12 was. I think it was 12 was in California. And right there's your main, like, 5 places that WWE likes to go. And then Boston, of course, so now here we are in Boston. And I never thought, and I'll tell you this, I never thought we would have WrestleMania in Boston. At the time, I was shocked. When I found out, like, they were hanging the banner up on the Fleet Center. Now it's the Boston Garden. They tore the Boston Garden down. Okay, they tore the real Boston Garden down, and they rebuilt they called it the Fleet Center, because the Fleet Bank, whatever. And now it's just called the TD Bank North Boston Garden. But It was the Fleet Center at the time, and it doesn't matter, same building. But I just couldn't believe driving by it and seeing that logo of Shawn Michaels, Tyson, and Stone Cold on the building. I was like, wrestling had reached its pinnacle that it would reach. It was 14. It was unbelievably huge. It was starting to go crazy. And here I was with like this big payoff. Never mind Shawn Michaels winning the title or your favorite wrestler, whoever your favorite wrestler is winning the title. After years of being afraid to tell people I was a wrestling fan. Kids in school just laughing at you or not knowing what you're talking about. I can't tell you how many times I said, I love Shawn Michaels this, and someone said, well, who the hell's that? Nobody knew wrestling. And so for the last, few months, like 4 to 6 months, wrestling was getting bigger, and everyone in school was talking about it, and I felt like I belonged. We skipped school to go to the DX public workout. They had an event outside of Faneuil Hall where DX showed up with Mike Tyson. Michael's
That's badass. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Michael's got hit with a battery. It was crazy.
What? Like a car battery?
Some fucking dude threw a battery at Shawn Michaels, and he walked off. He left the ring. He just left, and then he came back, but he wanted.
Like, what size battery are you talking? Like a little AAA, AA kind of thing?
I didn't see it really, but I
don't know. I immediately thought a car battery.
I found out about it. I actually found out about it afterwards, and then I found out about it. And then if you watch the Shawn Michaels documentary, the really good one, the one that's sadder, which is the better one, he talks about how he got hit with the battery and Shawn was pissed off and everything. And so anyway, but the workout was so cool. It was just so cool. They were going to be there. You wanted to be there to see DX. So I went there to see DX, and then Stone Cold, ends up being there. And just, dude, it was so good. And this was Stone Cold's biggest push he would ever have. This was Stone Cold's fucking push. His first WWE Championship match.
This was the launching of the Stone Cold era.
Exactly, the launching. There was people were ready to explode, and they did. And man, it was so good that it was there. Plus, I'm a big Shawn Michaels fan, so this match was great for me. And I did bail on Shawn and did obviously want Stone Cold to win. But I was so enjoying that it was Shawn that I get to see these two guys.
So you kind of got the card I got the year before, where you were kind of turning on Shawn as to where I was kind of turning on Bret.
Exactly.
Because I wanted Stone Cold to kind of win.
Yeah, except I wouldn't say completely turning on him, because I really, I still loved Shawn, and I loved the DX thing. I mean, I was all into DX, but Stone Cold was just, he overtook.
He was
that
larger
thing.
than life, man.
Yeah, I was just so on board for that, man. And we're walking around school like, suck it. The teachers don't know what the fuck is going on. They're like, what the hell is happening? These teachers must have been mortified. 1 minute they're walking around, and the next minute kids are running around the hallway like, suck it, like, and the teachers are probably like, what the fuck do we do about this?
We used to get in so much trouble for doing that. Doing the X over our crotches, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I remember getting in trouble so bad in school for that.
How many letters in schools throughout the country do you think went around to parents like explaining that this was going on and like, stop this,
I think the bigger question to ask is just how much laughter and happiness did it give to Vince McMahon? Because if all these kids are getting in trouble for doing the suck it thing, at that time Vince is thinking, this is great.
I want them to suck me.
Whoa.
There's a lot of insinuations about Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson and Shawn Michaels and just guys and sodomy. It's very bizarre. Anyway, well, that's for another day as well. But
what? Whoa, another day.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of those rumors out there.
When are we having that podcast?
I don't know. When you come over here in a hot tub with me, we'll do a. We'll take
a live video one where we're just in a hot tub.
Yeah, me and
champagne.
you are in a hot tub with champagne. There's no women, and
none.
And we're naked, completely naked.
We'll send Leah and Keisha to go somewhere, and we'll just hang out in the tub, fucking naked with champagne.
We'll be like, now many of you guys might be saying like this is gay, but what this is about is trust,
right?
Because we're gonna get fully liquored up here,
I trust that Joe is not going to grab my fucking giant cock in the hot tub after being liquored up on champagne. I trust him that he's not going to do that. Because if he does, I was drunk too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, or if I shit in the hot tub too. That's the other.
Oh, god damn. Joe, control yourself, man.
Imagine waking up with you like keeled over with your ass facing the middle of the tub with your hands across the stone ground, and then I'm laying over on the other side, and then we wake up and there's poop floating in the thing too.
Oh,
like, wake up
yeah,
like, what the
I love
fuck?
it.
Yeah, this didn't happen. Fuck this.
Joe's thinking, you're like, Bailey, wake up, wake up. I wake up, I got a full fucking boner. Like, what happened?
It's just fucking semen.
Yeah. What's that taste in my mouth? It's weird. Is that chlorine?
Did we have salt last night?
Oh, God.
Anyway,
I'm going to have to go make another drink. Jesus.
Boston. Well, this is perfect for Boston with our gay rights marriage. So moving on to
okay,
WrestleMania
Joe,
14.
I'm moving on to another drink.
Good, me too. I only have two, but here's the second one.
God damn, bro, pace yourself.
I drank that one really slowly, but this one I'm gonna down, I think.
Fucking shotgun it, dude.
So it hits me. It's a bottle though. I don't know. But okay, so WrestleMania 14 starts, man. I remember that LOD got back together with Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
In maybe that was the first match. I don't remember if that was the first match or it was like a battle royal or something like that.
Yeah,
it was one of those two things.
They were like the new LOD though. They were like the updated LOD. You know what I mean?
Oh, was Draws was no? I think the original LOD was back. But you're right. It was like 2000 or whatever.
That's LOD. What it was. LOD 2000.
And they had the funnier helmets, like the more updated helmets.
Yeah, it looked like a couple of special kids walking the ring.
Same LOD, new helmets, same drunk hawk. Like it was, yeah, it was really well.
But you're right, Sonny was with them, right? On that night?
Sonny brought them back together is what it was. By blowing them both. She blew them both, and they got back together.
Dude, let me ask you a question.
And the Midnight Express was there.
So me and you were, we're in the locker room. We're totally naked together, right?
Oh.
Sonny walks in, says, I'll blow both of you. Are you comfortable?
Yeah. I'm ready.
Me too.
I'm ready.
I just want to clear that up. So if that ever comes up, even Sonny nowadays, it's like, Joe, Justin, you're both naked right now. I want to blow you both.
Yeah.
I look at you. You look at me. We're like, yeah, we can do this.
I'm fine with that. Yeah. Like I've been in three ways already, so I'm good with it.
That's three more than I've ever been in.
One of them was an accident. But
one of them was all dudes.
Yeah, no, that did not happen. But I'd tell you if it did, but it didn't happen.
He'll tell me once we go off the air is what'll happen.
I just remember the one girl, my buddy was like, "This is happening," because he was like really didn't get laid a lot, and I think he was like, "This is really happening." Like this is, and I was like, "Yes, go for it." All right, so it's 100% true, but it's weird. Taka Michinoku wrestled not Psychosis, but
it was like Aguila. That's right.
And he had that big goofy mask on. They did a pretty good, light heavyweight match. It was
Michinoku was the bomb, bro.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was cool.
The Michinoku driver.
Yeah, and they really they treat him now like he was like a legend, but it's like after a year of him, they like shit on him. Like it was.
I know.
But nowadays they're like the Great Taco. Like it's like the fuck you guys hated him. Like you like made it. You like probably pulled his pants down in the back, the click, and made fun of his pee-pee size. Okay.
Hey, a real quick thing too that you said earlier that I just remembered again that I wanted to say was you said that you didn't think WrestleMania would ever come to Boston, right? Mm-hmm. Like imagine how we felt in Indiana. Like that's like Boston would clearly probably get it before Indiana would, right?
I'll explain myself. The arena was tiny. You know what I mean? It's not tiny, but like for like you, I think when I used to think of WrestleMania, I thought of big ass places. You know what I mean? Like all these years, even Caesar's Palace in 9 and 10 was New York, but that's Madison Square Garden, and that's where they first did it. So I got that. But I guess I should have been tipped off once they started doing Connecticut and those in arenas. But I just didn't. I was like, wait a minute, like we're getting because remember we found out around WrestleMania 13 that we were gonna have it here. So when Stone Cold was wrestling Bret Hart, I was thinking, holy shit, next year it's gonna be in Boston.
Right.
So like I don't know. I just didn't pick up on it, but I was fucking shocked. But here we were.
Okay, so we had the Hoosier Dome,
Yeah.
right? And if people in the chat want to, put in there how many people was at the Hoosier Dome, I mean, it would have been like 30,000. There would have been a lot of people there.
Oh, I
maybe
thought it was
even
more. It's more than 30,000. The Hoosier Dome.
You know what? I bet it's more along the lines of
It's like
double
60.
that.
It's like 60,000.
So, I mean, if people want to put that in there, that way they don't think we're fucking looking shit up. But I'm pretty sure it was like 50 to 60,000. So I'll give you that as to why we shouldn't think that Boston would get it before us, because you probably don't have enough
I couldn't
suitable
help it.
arenas.
I did Google. I just Googled that.
So it was 60,000.
It's 56,000.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
So I mean, Boston, you're looking at like, I don't know, like 8.
I was gonna say 8 to 12,
maybe 13,000 something.
Okay.
Boston Garden.
Because you guys now can fit what, 18?
Oh, 17,565.
Oh, that's
same
what
building.
happened for 14?
No, that's what they can fit now.
It's 17.
Yeah, and that's the
Okay.
same building. So
they wouldn't be able to fit that in
So-
1997
yeah, so I would.
or 1998. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure it would have been about the same. So I'm sure there was like 16,000 people there or something like that.
Oh, and a quick fact too. I just want to say that the Royal Rumble leading up to this WrestleMania was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, the Royal Rumble, yeah, with Stone
It's one
Cold
of the
in it.
more classic Royal Rumbles
Yeah, I agree.
because it came down to just The Rock and Stone Cold.
Yes, yeah, it was really good, and him going through a lot of people when he showed up, the place blew up. It was like what you wanted to keep doing with Hogan that you couldn't, because you couldn't just keep repeating it. And even though Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair's Royal Rumbles were really good, more organic, this was that superhero like fucking thing, but it was done organically. More than like, having Hulk Hogan do it for the 5th time. You were basically doing that same sort of thing again, but it's with a different guy.
And another thing too, like they put small things in that Rumble, Joe. Like there was a part I remember so specifically when Stone Cold got thrown out of the Rumble, but it was through the middle rope, and you can hear the air get sucked out of that arena. But they play like 5 or 6 times on the the playback of Stone Cold not being eliminated.
I don't mean to jump way off topic here, but we have to revisit this at some point. I watched a Royal Rumble the other day back, and I think it was, goddamn, I can't remember actually which one it is. I think it was. I'll have to figure it out later. I think it might have been 8. I think it was Sid Justice and Hulk Hogan. It was the one where Ric Flair wins.
92?
Yeah. Macho Man eliminates himself. He eliminates himself. He gets really pissed off. It goes after Jake the Snake Roberts, and he gets so hyped he jumps over the top rope and eliminates himself. And even the announcers were like, he just eliminated himself.
But he didn't know he eliminated himself.
Yeah, it was like he forgot or something.
I remember that.
And then he just gets back in the ring, and I go, wait a minute, like he shouldn't even be in here.
Right.
And then he eliminates somebody, and it was like, no, that shouldn't count. He shouldn't even be in here. You got to eliminate.
I remember that, Joe.
So, I don't know, just something interesting for everybody to look up at a later time. Fucking Macho Man pulled a goddamn Neil Mascaris and dive out of the ring.
And I actually am glad you brought that up, Joe, because that really relates to what's going on nowadays with the whole Roman thing. We're not going to talk about that. I'm just saying it really relates to nowadays, because 1992's Rumble is regarded as one of the best Rumbles of all time.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens the next week.
But anyways, I was saying that Stone Cold's Rumble win leading into this WrestleMania was a really good Rumble. But I got to ask you this, Joe. Being in Boston, with Mike Tyson being the special guest referee and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like what was the feeling like around Boston surrounding like Mike Tyson being in the ring with Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels? Was that like a huge focal point?
People loved it. Like people were so into DX, into Mike Tyson, into Stone Cold. Like it was just the buzz. Like it was bizarre. Like it was. I'm sure it was happening throughout the country about wrestling, about the WWE especially, in other middle schools and high schools and older people. But yeah, the buzz about like Tyson and stuff was crazy. Every news channel, every radio, like he was everywhere. They were everywhere. The national TV kept picking it up every second. There was a story about it. When Stone Cold and Tyson shoved each other in the ring, that was all over the news nationally. I mean, it was.
Oh yeah.
It was crazy good. It was
that was on Channel 8 here in Indiana, which was our big news channel for my family, which was one of the biggest news channels in Indiana, of course. But that was one of the top stories, was Tyson getting involved in the pro wrestling business.
Yeah, it just was everywhere, and it was so big here, and there was.
And it didn't feel fake, Joe.
No,
seemed
everything
real.
felt real. It was fucked up, dude. I will tell you something. I got something to tell you really interesting about this Mania. It was 1998, and the internet had been out for a while now. Had been out for 5-6 years, and the internet wrestling sites and rumors were up. They were going. The sites were kind of funny looking, but they were going. And I remember that unfortunately I read, and this is a spoiler if anyone hasn't seen WrestleMania 14, but unfortunately I read like one of those rumor pages or emails that was like, WWE plans, apparently Mike Tyson is going to turn on DX and help Stone Cold win.
Because of the story about Shawn having to leave?
I don't know. I just read that. It was telling you exactly what was going to happen in the end of the match. It was like they were literally telling you what was going to happen. Like Tyson.
And you read that before the match?
Before the match. He jumps in and counts 3. I read that.
Was that upsetting to you?
I sort of didn't believe it. So, but then when it happened, I went, "Oh my god, that fucking thing I read was exactly right." Like that was so it was kind of like
that must have been bizarre.
It was strange because like I didn't mean to read it, but I didn't know, but I did mean to because it said like, the result of WrestleMania has leaked or something, and I was like, "What?" And I clicked on it and I read that and was like, "Okay," and didn't really think like too much, but it was in your head. So then when it happened, it was like, oh, it kind of spoiled myself, I think, a little bit, but
right,
but not really because I didn't know it was going to happen. So
that's crazy.
But yeah, dude, but Shawn's back throughout this match, like him flipping into the turnbuckle, and you almost wonder because they really played it off that his back had something really wrong with it, and not to deny that, but after everything that's happened with Shawn, with like, I lost my smile, so I'm not going to drop the title, but I lost my smile. And then all these things where Shawn didn't want to give up the belt to anybody. And then all of a sudden for him to be like, oh, I've got this career-ending back injury. And for him to like go away. I believe that Shawn had a back injury that he could never wrestle again. The only comparison to new fans would be just like if they know about Edge. Like, you believe Edge is never going to wrestle again. It would be like if Edge came back all of a sudden and had like a 10-year comeback run again. You wouldn't believe, like, after 3-4 years, oh, yeah, he's retired. I mean, he's injured. He's fucked. He's not coming back ever again.
So what you're saying is you think Shawn maybe made it sound worse than it was?
Something about this doesn't seem right. 4 years later, for him to just come back.
And especially do some of the things he did in the ring, Joe.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he tried to do the Flair fucking flop up on the turnbuckle and he just landed directly? It was kind of like he was like, fuck you, look what I can do.
Yeah, it was like he threw his back into it on purpose.
He's done that spot millions of times. He's done it on thousands of house shows.
Yeah.
But on WrestleMania, the biggest stage of the year, he says, fuck it, and just flings himself into it. If his back was in the shape he said it was, he wouldn't have done that to save his life.
Yeah, I
that's a good point, Joe.
Over the years, the suspicion is built more and more, but I want to say right now, and I love Shawn Michaels, but
he's full of shit.
I think I think somebody's full of shit, and he's full of shit, or somebody is lying about this, and this is a big thing to say. But I'd love to find out and question some people because
I'm with you though.
Right? I mean, the casket, when he hit his back on that casket, it didn't look like that's something that would fuck up your disc in your back.
Are you talking about the match at the Rumble with Taker?
Yeah, when he got back body dropped onto the casket, it didn't. I mean, it looks like that hurt, and that
dude, he took a back body drop from Mankind and in your house onto a fucking table with all the monitors and shit on it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think he was milking.
Don't you think it was to keep him safe? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this, it's just like, oh, I'll go with this back injury thing and I'll leave. And even Triple H saying, dropping the ball. And like, It just something doesn't seem right to me.
And we may be douches in thinking this, but at the same time, it's very suspicious, like you said.
Yeah.
It's very suspicious.
And I could see Triple H him being like, and that way, Shawn, when you come back, it'll be like this one. If you do come back, whenever you decide to come back, it'll be like this big comeback thing, and it'll be amazing. And Shawn probably was like, yeah. Because think about the last time this happened, he had some mystery injury, and they faked like he passed out in the ring, remember? They faked like he passed out in the ring, like he had something wrong, and he passed out, and they got the oxygen mask on him. Then he says, I lost my smile, and then he goes away.
Yep.
And he never loses the belt to anyone cleanly. And to Stone Cold, he's milking this back injury thing.
But I don't think that was portrayed on TV, though, was it?
What's that?
The back.
The back? Oh, it was all that WrestleMania, yeah. That whole match is him grabbing his back and screaming.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying the build-up to the match, the promos and stuff, was the back really that central part of the promos and stuff?
No, but and honestly, I think it is a little dangerous to say this because up until I just said that a few minutes ago about Shawn, I always loved that WrestleMania 14 match because I couldn't believe the pain he was in to go through that. So I used to say, man, he is balls. Like he is fucking going after it here.
And I agreed with you too that the match was so much better because we were seeing exactly what Shawn was doing, regardless of the circumstances that his back may be in.
Yeah, and that's what I always thought. Like, man, he is hurt. I remember thinking he is hurt. Like, there's something wrong with his back, and he's still wrestling.
But he's also one of the greatest sellers of all time.
Yeah, and also the announcers, like, they said, oh, and Shawn's got that bad back. Like Shawn's got that bad back, or Shawn, of course. They commented on it multiple times about his back being all screwed up. So, I don't know. Did he have a stiff back? Did he have a tweak in his back or something small? Or was there constant pain or something? I mean, or was there nothing really? And it's really hard to say. It's just very strange. It's just a little strange. That SummerSlam comeback was amazing, which Triple H and I was so pumped up for that. But that's another story for another day. Anyway,
this is the only match we've talked about.
Yeah, we really need to. Owen Hart versus Triple H, Sergeant Slaughter. Chyna had the handcuffs. She fucking powdered him. They really beat up.
I don't remember that.
They beat up poor Owen, man. She's hitting him with the cat when he had the cast on to lead up to this match. He gets a low blow. He's like going to yell at Slaughter to be like, hey, get her out of here and stuff. And then Triple H low blows him and then beats him.
Oh, okay.
It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, they just crapped on Owen, man. They really.
Well, it's because of
Yeah, Bret was gone, and they just. I mean, they really did the Click did their work, And then,
for sure.
And then after that, I mean, look what happened. After the Click did their deal, and this is a scary thing, but with the evilness of, and make no mistake about it, I like Shawn and I like all these guys. But with basically them laughing about Chris Candido's suicide, or like getting Chris Candido to commit suicide, just bullying people, basically laughing at the fact that they could get somebody fired who has kids and a family. That's what the Click did.
And here's the thing, too. Me and Joe off the air, we have talked a lot about doing a podcast specifically about the Click. I think that would be a really good idea, and I think Joe hit on something that I think people need to stay tuned for, because I'm sure me and Joe will do one on the Click.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. As far as, the Click doing what they did to Chris Candido, but also, putting their work in and doing what they did to Owen to help add to, what happened to Bret. Now it's happening to the younger brother.
And you wonder, because not only did they bury Owen, and, then they did the whole man to boy thing on Monday Night Raw, like, look at our big dicks and look at your small penis.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what is Owen Hart doing a little while later? He's the Blue Blazer.
Oh, God.
And why is the Blue Blazer going to come down from the top of the ceiling? Why would, after all these high wire things never going wrong, all of a sudden something go wrong on the Blue Blazer? It's just...
Wait, whoa.
Yeah.
Are we speculating that was fixed?
I don't know.
Okay, that's a podcast for another day.
It is a
fans.
podcast for another day, but it's you know, I don't know, but Owen Hart, did he know something? Was he gonna be like, I'll tell them all about your sex party in the bed? I don't know. Who knows? Anyway,
Podcast for another day. Was Owen Hart's death fixed?
Yeah.
God,
was something else to
that'd
it.
be a tough podcast for me.
I don't know, man. I don't believe it. I like to say that's not true at all, and that's crazy. Probably is crazy. Probably just an accident.
But that was a very dirty time, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I wouldn't think they would go there at all, to be honest. But
it could.
With what they did, I don't know. But anyway, so
okay, so WrestleMania blah, blah, blah.
14 in Boston.
14, yeah. I want to say too that I thought that one of the better matches on the show too. Obviously, this was the year of the dumpster match.
Yes. Okay. That was a great match.
Okay. Yeah.
New Age Outlaws.
Let's talk about that.
Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack, or Mankind Mick Foley, and Terry Funk is Chainsaw Charlie, and the New Age Outlaws. Man, that dumpster thing on Raw was shocking to people.
Yeah.
So this match had build up, and it was good. It was chaotic.
It was very chaotic.
It was just good. The spots in the dumpster with the dumpster, Cactus Jack doing a spinning roll and then crashing into the dumpster. Just tons of funny things. Then ending in the back and the way they sealed him in the dumpster. It was just a nice match.
It was. And it's great. If you go back and watch it, this is one of those matches when you look at it, you just kind of smile like, man, these times were cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's how the match makes me feel.
Yeah, it was a great time. There was a cookie sheet. It was just, that match was a good match. It went from, they were in the ring, they did hardcore stuff, but not too crazy, and they still kept this interesting style.
Because you could just hear Vince saying, "Look, this is all leading to Tyson's thing with Stone Cold and HBK. We don't want to steal the show here."
Yeah. Exactly, but they did the right thing. They kind of put over the Outlaws. Really, this is what Cactus and Funk did. They put over the Outlaws, and that's what happened.
And they did it in a big way.
Yeah, although I think Cactus and Terry Funk won, but they really put them over. Like, and it was weird. Like, they got them on the map there. Like, they really solidified them. But I think Cactus and Mankind won, but they put them over in the sense that, like, you were like, these guys are cool. Like, this is crazy.
What's that classic move of, just like Stone Cold got over with Bret Hart. He lost, but he got over more than Bret did.
Yeah.
So, I want to say a quick fun fact too, real quick about this pay-per-view this was one where I was begging Mom and Dad to buy. Begging him to buy it, and I thought I could sucker punch my dad by being like, Mike Tyson's gonna be on it, Dad. And Dad, still like, oh, that's bullshit. Whenever he puts fucking gloves on is when I order it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this was one I actually want to say I didn't get to see until about 2 weeks later on tape again. Like I told, and I've said this on many podcasts on TBTIs, that as a kid, I didn't get very many pay-per-views until about 1997. Or
Right.
not 1997, but about 1998.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't until, like, probably after this pay-per-view that my parents were finally like, look, he really is into this. He always watches the tapes when his uncle tapes it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should order him for him.
My cousin taped him for me the same way. I watched WrestleMania on tape 2 weeks later as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was, one of the only WrestleMania. I think the only WrestleMania I ever watched live was 8 because it was in Indiana.
Yeah.
And I think I did watch 10 live as well.
Yeah, that's
with
funny.
Bret versus Yoko.
That's funny.
So I just wanted to say that because this was very special. This Mania was with the Tyson thing and all that, and begging my parents, please, please, please order. I got to see this. I got to see what happens if that beer drinking dude win. You know what I mean? It was like, but Dad, he wouldn't buy it, so I had to watch it 3 weeks later.
Did you avoid Raw?
Because at this time it was easily available for me to get to Raw. But as a kid, I had many things I could do to keep my mind busy. And my buddy that I hung out with, he also, his parents, they were like huge Christians and stuff, so they would not order wrestling pay-per-views of all things. So I was able to keep it hidden for about 3 weeks. But when I finally got that fucking tape from my uncle, I was just like, oh, You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's so funny, man. I did the
I
same
love
thing.
talking about this, man, because it brings back those memories.
Yeah. I still have the tapes upstairs with the writing from not my uncle, but my cousin, but my cousins were like older, like he was my uncle. So, but he would be like, he would give the tape to my mom. I just think that was a really cool thing because he just kind of did that for me. Like, here's the tape of the WrestleMania.
And I thought my uncle was so cool for doing that.
Yeah.
'Cause, it was fucking illegal, but he did it anyways because he wanted his nephew to be able to see the pay-per-view that mommy and daddy didn't allow him to, order. Because by that time, dude, wrestling was very frowned upon by like a lot of parents because of how rough it had gotten.
Yeah.
So that didn't help my case at all when I was like, Mom, Dad, you guys got to buy me this thing. How much is it? It's $40. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, no. But no, I think this was the WrestleMania. It was after this Mania that finally my parents started ordering me pay-per-views because the only 3 pay-per-views, Joe, that my family ever ordered, again, like I said, was probably 8 and 10 of Mania.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact I managed to talk my mom into buying me like Spring Stampede 96 for WCW. So random.
Right.
But I do remember distinctively getting to see that one. But anyways, back to WrestleMania.
We're so far behind. It's so funny, man. It's great, though.
I know.
We're on like 14. We should be on like 18 right now.
I know, but those were such pivotal WrestleManias, man.
This is amazing.
So good.
They the last thing I remember and that I really want to talk about.
I can't wait to see what you say.
It's the build-up between Kane and The Undertaker.
Yes.
That this build-up was like supernatural, and it was real. They went to like try to do like theatrics and a real story with The Undertaker. Kane and The Undertaker's build-up to Mania 14 was fucking amazing.
Yes.
The match was okay, but the build-up was so amazing you wanted to see what happened.
And the thing is, too, Joe, for people that, if we have a lot of young listeners listening, the build-up for this match, one of the big pivotal parts to the build-up to this show was the Rumble when Shawn was facing Taker for the title.
Right.
And Kane came out.
Hell in a Cell?
No, it was the casket match. And at the end of the match, Taker got thrown into the casket by Kane, and then he set it on fire.
Yeah.
And that was huge because, again, I got all the tapes from my uncle. So being able to see that, I was just like, oh, my God, he's fucking dead.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then Kane and Paul Bearer in the ring gloating about The Undertaker being basically dead.
Yep.
And then they had this coffin, and then all of a sudden lightning strikes the coffin, and The Undertaker comes out of the coffin, and he's like, I'm not dead and shit. And you're just like, what the hell? Like, it was just...
Oh, and the horrible smoke effect, Joe, when the lightning hit. It was just like Taker was the one holding up the fog machine. Oh, it's so funny to think about because I very much remember that.
Dude, that was so funny and so good.
You know what? The one cool thing about the Taker and Kane match, obviously, was when they both raised up, from the dead like they did.
Yeah.
At the same time, that was a cool spot. And I also, if you go back and watch that match, for all the fans, is the flip-flopping of the tombstone. How they kept flip-flopping, who was going to actually get the tombstone and execute it. Right. That was a really cool spot. But again, we need to get into action here, Joe. Yeah. We're on WrestleMania 14. We got to move to 15.
All right, we're out of Boston. We're into 15. 15 is going to be easy because we kind of did it already.
We actually did it in part 1, didn't we? That's how we got to this podcast chronological order thing that we're doing.
In fact, I'll say if you want to hear 15, go back and watch it. If you want to hear us elaborate on 15, go back and watch part 1. We do a little bit more. But let's just basically get to we remember it now because we talked about it already. And yeah, there was a lot of like 3-way matches and hardcore matches, and Butterbean knocked out Billy Gunn, and
Billy Gunn, it was Bart.
Bart Gunn, rather. Butterbean knocked out Bart. But really the match, of course, is Stone Cold and The Rock. That's the big match. Undertaker hung Boss Man. That was stupid. It was quick and dumb, and Edge and Christian came down from the ceiling, and Big Show turned on Vince or slapped Vince, and he lost. So Mankind got to be the special referee. He got chokeslammed through a pair of chairs. I don't remember what else. There was Who cares? Stone Cold versus The Rock was good.
That Joe would mention, if you want to hear the real talk about this WrestleMania, go listen to part 1, which you should do, because when we were doing that badass show we did last night, Joe, today before this week went on the air, I watched the WrestleMania 15 Rock and Austin match.
Yeah.
It really was a badass match. Especially the part when like Stone Cold and The Rock were like fighting by the Titantron.
Yeah.
And like Stone Cold gets like the lights start blowing up or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Kane would like command. He was using the Force to like blow up the pyro.
It was such a good match. But it's interesting to point out, like we did in part 1, it was the worst of the 3 matches.
Yeah.
But it was still so good. But anyways, part 1 has WrestleMania 15.
Oh, I think I know what you're saying. I thought you said something else about Kane. I'm so tired. I'm crazy. No, it was the worst one, but it was cool. It was still like interesting. But yeah, you should watch the other one. But yeah, Stone Cold and The Rock, most memorable thing really about Mania 15. I think the rest of it just you were entertained to see what happened throughout the Mania, but really what you go back for really is only Stone Cold and maybe
this was just a running through the motions kind of WrestleMania.
Yeah,
15
exactly.
being. Which is funny because, coming up is WrestleMania 16, which is better known as WrestleMania 2000, is also one of the more shittier WrestleManias.
I hated that name, too. I was like, no, 2000, this is stupid.
And it really, Joe, I'm not going to lie, this is one of my least favorite WrestleManias.
Yeah, it was one of the worst. It was not very good.
Especially with Ice-T coming out there doing the pimpin' ain't easy thing. Oh my God.
Pimpin' ain't easy, man.
He just get pimpin' ain't easy.
You're like, what the hell?
Oh, it's awful. And not to mention the shit bag fucking match where they threw like 50 dudes in one match for the hardcore title.
Oh, yeah. They were like... Who ended up... Was that... I don't even remember who won that.
I think Bob Holly or Crash, one of those two won.
Well, it's a good guess because they had it like most of the time it was alive.
Well, because the thing was like they played like one theme and then like here came like the entire roster, but Crash and Bob Holly got their entrances. So I wonder who was going to win.
Yeah, was this the one where like Viscera, Taz, and everybody was in it?
Oh, everybody, the whole roster. The Mean Street Boys or whatever, all those guys.
That sucks.
It was horrible. What are you supposed to watch when there's 30 fucking dudes wrestling all at once in a hardcore match? What are you supposed to watch? Where are you supposed to be watching? It was just such a scrambled clusterfuck of a match.
Yeah.
But again, this WrestleMania was so shit, Joe. Like the only match I remember is the main event, really. With Triple H, The Rock, Big Show, and Foley.
I hated that too. I hated that main event. It was they put 4 people in it. It was stupid. This was when it was like, man, Stone Cold was supposed to be here because this don't seem right. But
yeah, I mean, it was. I'm kind of like because Stone Cold, he was injured. Is that right?
Yeah, this was when didn't they do the car running over angle or was that not yet? That was this.
Yeah, you're right.
They ran him over with a car and he was out. Yeah, that's what it was. So
where they made it out to be Vince, right?
It just seemed like it was Vince or something like that, or Triple H might have done it. And then it was, but no, then it was Rikishi. I did it for The Rock.
Jesus,
I
Rikishi.
did it. That was the dumbest thing ever. The dumbest thing. So I mean, Stone Cold's on fire. WrestleMania 14, the launching, it's huge. WrestleMania 15, Stone Cold versus The Rock, yeah. And then WrestleMania 16 really should have been Stone Cold versus like Triple H or somebody or anything. But
it should have been. You're right. You nailed it on the first guess. It should have been Triple H versus Stone Cold.
Could have been The Rock again. No, it could have been that too.
Now, Joe, that match was an elimination style match, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So I think it was like, wasn't it Big Show out first, then Foley or something like that?
Yeah, I know it came down to fucking The Rock and Triple H. I know that.
Okay, let me point out what I hated the most about this match. It ended in just the shittiest way with Triple H winning. This is that point when Triple H talks about how the fans hated him so much because he was always winning, and apparently they would pay the money to see him finally lose. I don't believe that, but people were just over him because he was, eating fucking Stephanie's pussy out, so he was getting everything. But the thing was, when the match ended, The Rock was like going to the back and he's all like, fuck, man, I lost. But then he runs back into the ring to get the crowd to leave on a somewhat happy note.
Yeah.
And they fucking ate it up.
Yeah.
And if they had done that shit nowadays, it would be absolutely booed out of the building.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
Again, this is such a forgettable. It's funny. Me and Joe talked about WrestleMania 12 and WrestleMania, even 13 and 14 for fucking like 20 minutes apiece.
It sent us off in all these places, and you're right. I can't give a shit about anything, and I don't remember.
But it's because WrestleMania 2000 was so shit.
Didn't the Radicals or like Eddie Guerrero they were here around this time? Maybe.
Yeah, Malenko and China and Guerrero. You're right.
I don't remember. I literally don't remember anything else.
But you remember China being with them, right? Because Guerrero had like a crush on her or something?
Oh, yeah. I did forget. I forgot that was this early. But yeah.
But again, what me and Joe are trying to say is WrestleMania 2000 was fucking shit. So now let's move on to one of the best WrestleManias of all time. Okay. WrestleMania 17. And
WrestleMania 17, the problem for me is this is when I start like forgetting exactly what went on. It was
because didn't you kind of get out of wrestling in the Ruthless Aggression era?
Well, we weren't Ruthless Aggression yet, though.
Well, why is Ruthless Aggression considered like 2002?
No, Ruthless Aggression is considered like when John Cena shows up.
What? Oh, come on, no way.
Yeah,
Ruthless Aggression.
We're still in the Attitude Era.
Set by 17?
Ruthless Aggression era didn't start until like WrestleMania 21 or 20.
No way.
Or 20, maybe 20. WrestleMania 20.
Really?
Yeah, I promise you.
I would have thought Ruthless Aggression would have carried over to like Triple H and Jericho at 18 and stuff like that.
No, that hasn't even started. Ruthless Aggression hasn't started yet.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I promise you.
Well, fuck me in the ass.
First of all, John Cena isn't even there yet, and he's the whole one that was like, Kurt Angle was like Ruthless Aggression. He was like Ruthless Aggression. That's when it started.
But Kurt Angle was at 17, right?
He didn't. No one said anything about Ruthless Aggression. I hated the Ruthless Aggression time, by the way.
Okay, well, I stand corrected then.
But
I remember everything about this pay-per-view.
Everything? Is this? I can't remember. Okay, 17 and 18 I confuse all the time. Is this Stone Cold Rock or is this Hulk Hogan Rock?
No, this is Stone Cold and Rock, Joe.
Okay, all right.
This was the big corporate turn for Stone Cold.
Yeah, which is
the big heel turn bomb for them. But I want to tell people that some of the matches on this show that people won't remember but need to watch, obviously they're going to remember the TLC match. They're going to remember Rock and Austin. Some of them, and one of them, and this was also the show they did the gimmick battle royal when Sheik won. You remember that?
That's awesome.
We also might be having Sheik on the show here, by the way. Quick
That'd be great.
But one of the matches on this show that I praise was that opening match between Chris Jericho and William Regal.
Yes, that was a really good match.
For the IC title.
Yeah.
And another match I want to talk about on this show, actually two more, was Kurt Angle and Kane. That was a good match. And also was Test and Eddie Guerrero, Joe, for the European Championship.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said. Leah just walked in the room with like a towel over her eye, and I was like, "Are you okay?" She shot soap into her own eye. Are you okay?
Your mom filled this thing with water, so it's not like gel. It shot in my eye when I.
She's awake?
Yeah, she's sitting here with a towel on her eye because she shot soap into her eye.
Did you hear that, fans? Fucking Joe
shot
like a soap in her eyes, and
it hurts my eye right now. It's hurting.
Is she okay?
Well, she shot soap into her eye from a dispenser because it was mixed with water, so her eye is burning her right now.
Fuck.
So I told her I'd wash your eye out with like a cup of water. You know what I'm saying?
That's probably the best.
Water in the fridge. Don't use tap water.
Yeah, like you definitely or if you guys have eye drops, that would be the best, because the eye drops will make your eye water a lot, and then you just let it drain out in the sink or something. What happened here?
All right, I don't know.
Why is she awake, Joe?
I don't know why. Why are you awake? Because she's 9 months pregnant, she has to pee every second. Yeah.
Oh, I felt bad for her. Just went through that with Keish.
Well, we're on WrestleMania 17, Leah. We got 3 WrestleManias to go here, or 4. I know, we're crazy.
Is it 5:30?
It is 5:30. This is crazy.
God damn. Okay,
if I hadn't already put the picture of 21 in the logo, I would have said, let's cut it and we'll have 4 parts. Okay, so
we were talking about Test and Eddie Guerrero for the European Championship.
you're right.
That's a match that needs to be remembered more. I still think the match that needs to be remembered, aside from the big, matches on the show, was Regal and Jericho.
I loved Regal and Jericho. It was a great opening. It was like a classic opening, like when Shawn Michaels used to open with the IC belt against people. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
So I really liked it. You have to name a couple of the matches for me. I could probably tell you what happened in them, but I can't remember. 17, 18, and 19 all blur together for me. I'm not joking. I think this might have been the one where Kane wrestled Raven, unless that was 18. But
No. Wait a minute.
And the Big Show and Kane threw Raven through a glass window in the back room.
You're right. Fuck, dude. Yes, I'm sorry to all the people that are going to listen to this podcast. I apologize. Kurt Angle and Kane was 18.
Okay. See, it's so confusing, those ones.
You're right, because it was Big Show, Raven, and Kane in the Hardcore Scramble match.
Yeah. I remember that. I don't remember much else, but...
Well, it was crazy, because didn't, Big Show throw Raven through, a plate glass fucking window or some shit?
Yeah, they go through the plaster wall, and then Raven goes through that thing. He's, bleeding, all over his arms, neck, and everywhere is bleeding.
But I think Kane ended up winning, though, didn't he, Joe? I think he did, an elbow drop off the stage into, a giant glass container.
Do that, padded ground and then the glass container. Yeah, you're right. He did win.
So that was a good match. Man, I feel like a dipshit for saying that Kane and Kurt Angle fought on this show.
That match entertained me. I was entertained by that. That was one of the more entertaining things that Kane and Big Show have done.
Yeah, I mean that was a big match for that show. But again, and I guess it really just brings us to Shane versus Vince, because I think that's one of the bigger matches as well. Because it really showcased Shane a lot.
Right.
When he did, the turnbuckle to turnbuckle, where he did the missile drop kick onto Vince when he had the trash can up against him.
Right.
That's a really fucking good match.
Yeah, dude.
Because not for how good the wrestling is in it, but for the damn soap opera that it was. With Trish being with Vince and Linda being in the fucking coma or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, I can't move.
Yeah.
She's watching him making out with other girls, but not really because she's in a coma.
Then she stands up and kicks Vince right in his fucking dick. And therefore Shane wins.
That's about all I remember. I remember maybe Angle was there. I don't remember who he wrestled. The Rock, was he there? He wrestled Stone Cold, yeah.
Okay, so that's something I want to figure out is who did Kurt Angle face at this fucking show?
Yeah, he wrestled somebody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who the fuck did Kurt take on? I feel like a dipshit because Kurt's always been one of my favorites.
It wasn't Shawn Michaels because that was later. That was 19 was...
I mean, it could have been somebody like Benoit or something like that.
I don't know.
I really don't know. I mean, it really, in the end, Joe, I think it just kind of brings us to Rock and Austin, right? So we reviewed 15 and we talked about the first match. This would be the second one. But this would be the biggest one in my book, with it being in Austin, Texas. I think it was in Austin, wasn't it? Houston. It was in Houston.
Yeah.
It was in Houston. So this was hugely built up. And I just remember... I didn't watch this one live. I know that for a fact. This was one I actually went to the video store and rented and watched. And I remember the outcome because I already knew it by that time. I you know what I mean? By that time, I was just like, oh, I got to know. But when I got the tape and I watched it, when I saw the outcome, I was like, fucking really? With Stone Cold becoming a part of the corporate machine.
Yeah, dude, I hated what they did. It was the wrong time to turn him, and Stone Cold talks about that later on. But the crowd, they didn't care. They were in, we were in his home sort of area, in his home state, and Stone Cold was a big name, and, The idea that you would turn Stone Cold in his hometown like that, they didn't give a fuck. He could have murdered children in the ring. They were going to cheer for him. They didn't give a shit, dude. This guy beat the shit out of The Rock with a chair, and this might have worked if you were in, like, Miami or, like, somewhere else, but it just, no. The fans didn't care. They were like, we don't give a shit. We came here to celebrate with Stone Cold, and I don't give a fuck. Like, Vince McMahon was with him. I don't care. Everyone was cheering. It went completely wrong.
It went way wrong.
At home, you were like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is going on?" But there, they were just like, "Yeah, like we don't care." Like it was such the wrong thing to do, a stupid thing to do. It was just something to do to sort of shock people, and it's.
I still feel like it could have went a lot worse.
Maybe. Worse. I mean, the match was good until it just kind of ruined the ending, ruined the whole thing to me. But
like the outcome, I feel like it could have been a lot worse. Like the fans could have like turned on it like in a way worse manner.
Well, that would have been good. If they did that, it would have been like we got what we wanted. We fucking enraged people.
But I feel like by that time, if fans threw like tons of garbage in the ring, it probably wouldn't have been because Stone Cold was a bad guy, but it was because they actually like behind the scenes thought it'd be a good idea to turn their hometown dude against.
Yeah,
you know,
it didn't.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm overthinking that a little bit.
No, they were just like, we don't give a fuck. We love this guy. I'm telling you, dude, he could have killed kids in the ring, and they would have cheered for him.
We're drunk as hell.
It's important to point out, I think, that this WrestleMania 17 was a return to those big sort of buildings in big stadiums.
Yes,
this was the return from like where we had been with like the Hoosier Domes and before that and Silver Domes and places like that. This is the return to that. Wrestling, the WWE has gotten so big again, they're able to sell at these big ass places.
Yeah.
16, I don't remember where it was, but it was in a regular place again. And 15 was in Philadelphia. And of course, WrestleMania 14 in Boston. They were all in regular arenas where like a hockey or basketball team would play. And finally, 17, it was different. And
oh my God, Joe! You know what? I just realized when you said hockey and basketball teams have played, returning to bigger arenas, it brought back the memory of Bradshaw in the back during WrestleMania 17 cutting a promo. That made me remember the match of APA versus Censored.
Right to Censor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember. I don't remember what happened.
It was like versus Bull Buchanan, and
yeah.
Not Davey Richards,
but
Shane. What's his name?
Shane Douglas?
No. Fuck, I can't remember his name, but he had short hair after he came to WWE from ECW. I can't remember his name, but it also made me remember because that fucking bitch was with Right to Censor.
Tori?
Huh?
No, of Ivory.
Ivory, and remember she took on China, and China buried her.
Yeah. Ivory.
Yeah,
and
I
then
remember those two matches popping up.
Steven, what's his name?
Stevie Richards. That's
Richards,
right.
Yeah.
Not Shane. It was Stevie Richards. You're right, because
he was like the leader. He was like the leader of them.
Yeah, and it was also the Godfather, whatever they were calling him.
Yeah, and Val Venus.
Who were they calling the Godfather when he was in Right to Censor? What did they change his name to?
I don't even remember. I just remember Right to Censor. I don't remember what the names were. They were calling like Neutered. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's Neutered.
But again, we could talk a long time about what happened with the end of the show with what happened with Stone Cold. But the funny thing is, the ending that happened didn't last long because it was such a bomb. They immediately turned it around. And that actually brings us to I got to take the lead on this one here, Joe. WrestleMania 18. One of my favorite WrestleManias of all time. I think it's one of yours too, right?
Wait a minute, WrestleMania 18? Yeah, it's that WrestleMania 18 is definitely one of my favorite WrestleManias. That is absolutely.
And I think, because I've seen this show from top to bottom multiple times.
Right.
It's one of my favorite ones. There's so many matches on this show that just like are instant classics because I've seen it so many times, and every match on this card, I'm just like, I know it from top to bottom. And again, just like the year before, we got that amazing opening match, Joe, with RVD versus William Regal. Again, not RVD, but William Regal putting over the new IC champ like he did with Jericho the year before.
Dude, it was another time where I said, "Oh, good, they're doing this again." They're making that Intercontinental title open WrestleMania. You go all the way back to the first WrestleMania with Tito Santana, have that intensity, Tito. And then Shawn Michaels versus Tito at 8, and in WrestleMania 7, and then WrestleMania 9, Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka. Just I love that idea of the IC belt and these guys, mid-range guys, going out there and getting this thing going the right way, and then it's important too. So Rob Van Dam versus William Regal was another good opening.
Yeah, it was. And the thing about this match that people may not know is, I think they call it the Dragon Driver, the move. RVD got seriously hurt in this match.
Really?
Because William Regal dropped him right on his head. I'm trying to remember exactly what the move called, but I want to say it's like the Dragon Corkscrew Driver or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but I know RVD got seriously hurt. But in the end, RVD got launched on this day, becoming the new Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, and that was good for him. And I didn't remember the injury or know about it. Maybe, I don't know, but that's an interesting point. I think WrestleMania 18. Okay, I know this one pretty well because I watched it a lot because it was good. Diamond Dallas Page wrestled Maven or
no? It was who did he wrestle?
Christian.
Joe. What is it?
Christian. It was Christian.
Yeah, because the crybaby thing where Christian was like a big crybaby.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that. I hated that. Because
remember DDP grabbed the mic. He was like, "Even though you lost in front of all these people." All 75,000. And Christian's bouncing up and down like a fucking child.
That was funny. That
would be DDP's only WrestleMania, Joe.
Yeah, well, except for the one he drove out the honky tonk man.
Right. But I mean, like the one he actually fought in, right?
Yeah, it was the only wrestling match, I think. Pretty good little match, if I remember. It's just a good little match. It was all right.
It was good. Because what was Christian's finisher, Joe? Where like the weird thing where he tucks him under his back.
Yeah, the unprettier thing, which was always weird to me. But
the cool finish to that was, Christian had that, and they reversed it like 3 or 4 times, and then it ended with DDP hitting a diamond cutter out of that.
Yeah.
Really cool finish, and I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum was still going there, and I don't remember everything. I think that I remember... I'm trying to think of who I always think whenever we get to do these WrestleManias, who did the Undertaker face? I think he faced Ric Flair, and the Undertaker faced Ric Flair, and Ric Flair got busted open in this thing.
Really? Imagine that. Ric Flair fucking blading.
He was just ugly.
He was in red trunks too, so there was so much red on Flair. It was ridiculous.
And I do remember that. I want to say it was last year. I was doing something on this WrestleMania. And I was looking at the times of the matches, and because somebody asked me, somebody told me that a match ran too long and they were mad about it or something, and I don't remember what match it was now, but I remember that it wasn't the Undertaker versus Flair that anyone was mad about.
It was Hogan and Rock.
That they ran too long. Okay, so that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, but the thing was, I went back and I looked at the match times, and I don't remember exactly what the match time was, but I think the Undertaker and Flair was the longest match of the night. Which
really?
Is what the fuck? Out of all that stuff that happened?
Joe, you know what we're not going to talk about it, but we need to mention it so we don't piss fans off. You know what we didn't mention about 17 was Undertaker versus Triple H.
Oh, you're right.
And that's one of the classic WrestleMania matches.
Yeah, that was a good one. And that was they moved to the outside of the ring and get the back body drop off that sidewalk thing on WrestleMania 17. All right, so yeah, we did miss that, but
and then the finish was the last ride off the top rope.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we talked about it, fans. There you go.
There you go.
So anyways, I actually think that Undertaker versus Ric Flair was a good match. Obviously, it wasn't as good as Undertaker's match with Triple H, but it was still very good.
Yeah.
Do you remember the build up to it, Joe, where Taker was beating the hell out of Ric's son and shit like that?
Yeah, Undertaker was fucking a dickhead then.
Yeah.
He was don't come in my backyard and I'll kill you. He was, Jeff Hardy, all that stuff. He was beating people up and hurting
I'm
fucking people.
I'm gonna kill your son, even though he's gonna die a couple years later.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, another thing is too, it was very forgettable. It wasn't very good except for when Devon hit the outside through a table. Was that fatal 4-way tag match
Right.
It was right. So it was Billy and Chuck because they were the champions. Love that
Billy
tag
and
team.
Chuck, I loved it. Yeah.
And then it was the Dudleys, and then who were the other tag teams? APA was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And who am I forgetting, Joe? APA, the Dudleys, Billy and Chuck, and who was the other team?
One of the other like Edge and Christian or Hardy Boys, one of the two.
I think it was the Hardys. You're right. It was the Hardy Boys.
I don't know.
Yep. Because you know what? Didn't Edge take on Kurt Angle? Or not Kurt Angle, but Edge took on who did Edge face? Oh, it's gonna fucking eat me alive.
I don't know who Edge faced. The only other match I know. I don't know. I don't know. I know the two next match. I know the two. I knew the two or there's three. No, I know all the other. I know of three other matches. I can think of them all right now, but I can't think of that. I can remember Stone Cold takes on Scott Hall.
I love that match.
And it was short but sweet, I think. Maybe it wasn't short. I don't know.
It was short.
It was a long walk to the ring for Stone Cold. Remember the long walk to the ring? All those lights that were set up. That WrestleMania was fucking crazy.
Here's a fun thing too. When Scott Hall comes out,
yeah,
and he keeps pointing to the Titantron, he points for like 2 or 3 minutes, and it's awkward as hell.
Yeah,
and then Kevin Nash finally walks out. It's like he was back there like trying to sneak in some quick lines of fucking blow.
Yeah,
and Scott Hall keeps pointing. It's funny if you go back and watch it. He keeps pointing.
Yeah,
and pointing, and finally Kevin Nash walks out, and you kind of see Scott Hall like, oh fuck, man, that could have been bad.
I would have put my hand out like saying like, hold on a second, everyone, and then ran to the back to like come out with him.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it was a pretty good little match, and it was kind of fun. Stone Cold gets to whoop, Scott Hall's ass.
Awesome, man.
Razor Ramon.
That was so good.
It's so funny that he came back, but not Razor Ramon. It's Scott Hall. It's just funny.
Yeah.
So of course that, and then of course The Rock and Hogan, which was just
Let's
crazy.
talk about that last.
Okay, we'll do Triple H and Jericho, and
that's a good one.
It was a good match, but by the time this match came on, there was and I know there's other things we're missing because this WrestleMania was long. There was a lot of matches, and in fact, I remember the disc I had to flip it over. If this match just was everything had sucked the life out of the people were done. They were like, we already saw the main event, and
you're right.
That main event kind of got a little bit washed away. I think but
the match itself was great.
That was a good match, and it was important. It was for the undisputed title. Like it was,
yeah.
If not for the undisputed title, I think this match would have been completely forgotten about. Despite the fact that they had a good match and it meant a lot, and I felt bad for Triple H and Jericho that night because even that night I was laying on my couch like, is this over? Like, I was thinking that at home, I really was. And it's not, I'm not even joking. I was 18 years old and I was thinking, is this over? Because I never missed a WrestleMania. And at the time I was watching though still. So there was I hadn't flipped the channel yet on wrestling yet.
I got this one live. I did get to buy this one.
Oh yeah, I got this one. Yeah, definitely got it. I had people.
By the way, I just want to mention that we did just get a tweet in, Joe.
Me too.
From Donnie Don 187. I'm guessing he's pretty. I've gotten a lot of tweets from that guy. He says that WrestleMania 20 was my favorite because you had Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship.
Yeah, I thought that was a good.
So we'll talk about that in a second. But Joe we were talking about Angle and Triple H. You're right. It was a very important match. It was a very good match. And another thing we didn't mention too was Lita versus Trish versus Jazz.
Oh shit! Yeah,
the triple.
No. Lita and Trish's rivalry was great, and we missed some of it. But Lita and Trish's rivalry
but the thing was, Jazz won that night.
Yeah, then Jazz won.
And then at 17, Trish wasn't even wrestling.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember that. I remember them being around each other a lot and having a great rivalry and having some good matches, but I don't remember what happened at Mania with those three.
Yeah, I
think Jazz had a wardrobe malfunction, though. I think I remember that. I'm thinking, wasn't it the
I know that the finish was crazy. It was a fisherman suplex by Jazz to Lita off the top rope.
Really?
Oh, dude, it was fucking nuts.
I gotta watch that again.
And another thing is, too, Trish came out in the fucking... Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about Rock versus Hogan, Joe.
Yeah, so this was...
I'll let you go first.
I was totally behind Hogan right away.
Yes.
Because I was sick of Rock's... I love The Rock, and he entertains the shit out of me, and I love him, and I always scream for him, but his in-ring stuff started to annoy me. He always kind of annoyed me a little bit. Like, he wore the gym pants for a while. That pissed me off. People's elbows should not be a finishing maneuver.
No.
And being in Toronto, it was like, maybe Hulk Hogan will finally get his win here in Toronto. Nope. But the fans just were so behind him, and they built up. It was a frenzy that you really haven't seen it at all like that. A frenzy like they had there was that is maybe it could be one of the loudest, if not the loudest ever, that a WrestleMania crowd got for something and somebody.
I agree
without Stone Cold pop.
They hung on to every single breath of that match.
Yeah.
Even Hogan, when he would pose to The Rock after they would, have a lockup, and Hogan would throw Rock down, winning the lockup, and then do his little pump up and stuff, the crowd would go fucking berserk on that place.
It was so fun to watch. Like, I was like, oh man, like that thing. I mean, I was already just excited to see what would happen, like with Hogan back and Rock and.
But Joe, that match is a prime example of how you work the spectacle of a match, because wrestling-wise, not a good match.
Right.
But as far as like the spectacle, The Rock is supposedly the new icon. Hogan's the icon that, got misplaced and has finally come back. The spectacle of the match took over. All those fans didn't want The Rock to beat the guy they rooted for when they were kids.
Yeah.
Just like me and you, we wanted Hogan to win. We were wholeheartedly behind Hogan. We wanted Hogan to win so bad we were fucking salivating for it.
Yeah, it's bizarre how they got us, and it's all fucking, but they got you. You just don't want him to lose, and you want him to win, and it was nostalgic, and then it made it even better when the crowd was so crazy. So, a lot of times Hogan would have a match like.
Yes,
against Bundy or somebody, and you wouldn't get all that reaction you want. So for the crowd to be so on board, because Hogan's match afterwards, you watch it back and you'd be like, yeah, this really wasn't a very good match. But because the crowd was so crazy, it makes everything so much better.
Yeah.
And if the crowd was quiet, it would have been less memorable. And just because the crowd lost it, it became a part of the match and made the match, elevated the match. Because of the build-up, the name of Hogan, the name of The Rock, and then the fans. And being in Toronto, too, where Hogan had lost to the Warrior. And a lot of those people grew up Hulkamaniacs and saw him lose at WrestleMania 6. It's almost like being a Red Sox fan until they won the World Series, and you want them to win. You want Hogan. You want to see your idol win. You didn't see it when you were a 6-year-old boy or an 8-year-old boy or a 10-year-old boy. Maybe a lot of those people were there crying as kids because the Warrior won. And maybe some of them were Warrior fans. I don't know, but it was unbelievable. These people.
Well, it's a show of the sign of the times too, where like you don't want things to progress. Like you want Hogan to still beat the guy that the younger generation was like, oh, The Rock's the new guy. He's better than Hogan. As a younger generation, we're like, no, that is not going to happen. That change is not going to happen. Hogan is still the best.
Yeah.
We wanted Hogan to win. And by the way, I want to say something, especially for the solid 40, 50 people that we've had on the show now for the hours we've been doing it. It's been awesome. You guys have been hanging around. But for the people that are listening live right now, I want to let people know, and all those who are going to listen to this, afterwards, this is something I've never mentioned before on any podcast that I've ever done or tweeted out or anything.
You're gay.
I am full-blown fucking gay. No. So I hate The Rock.
Oh.
Never liked him. Never liked seeing him on my TV. Never, ever, ever. Couldn't give a shit if he ever came back or anything. I feel that way today. I felt that way then. But granted, I laugh at his promos and his mic skills and stuff. I think it's fucking hilarious. Especially on this night, he had that thing with Coach in the back where he made the Coach get down and pray. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do
But
remember that.
he cracks me up. He's very funny. But I could give two shits if he ever graces me on my television as a professional wrestler.
The Rock is back to scratch a major itch. So enjoy your fruity pebbles, you yabba dabba bitch. It was great. Oh,
Joe, I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
I want to enjoy this guy so much.
I do enjoy him, but I liked Stone Cold, and I thought he was.
I'm with you, Joe. I'm a Stone Cold guy.
His wrestling was fluid and stuff. He was intense and stuff, but it just was. Yeah, I don't know. His matches, like his match with Mick Foley was one of his best matches. Like that Mick Foley Royal Rumble match, and like a couple other things.
The one with like the 50 chair shots.
Yeah, which was. I mean, it's almost like Mick Foley had to get his ass kicked to put him over.
Yeah.
But someone, Aubrey says. Aubrey Wilson says WrestleMania 18 had Edge versus Booker T. No wonder you forgot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you. Who was that?
That was Aubrey.
Thank you, Aubrey. That's right. It was Edge versus Booker T. She's right.
Oh yeah.
I remember that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the thing is too, Joe. One thing I hate and still hold against The Rock is the way he used to take the stunner.
Oh yeah, I hated him flipping himself around, rolling and flipping, and just look at Shawn Michaels or any of those early stunners before Shawn Michaels in 14, like in 13. It looked like people got their necks smashed.
Yes.
Like they didn't, but they made it look like they got stunned. The Rock made it look like it's a big goofy fake thing. Like so that's why. I agree with you. I didn't.
There were so many people, Joe, that took that stunner. There's like the top 5 you could say who would take the stunner. Obviously, Triple H was really good at taking it, but I always thought Shane McMahon was one of the better dudes that would take the stunner.
Yeah,
Shane would sell the shit out of it. But again, to get back to the Rock versus Hogan, I still to this day think they made the wrong choice of Hogan not winning.
Really.
I mean, I get why they did it, and it's not the wrong choice, I guess it should say. It's the choice I wouldn't have chosen.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm still bitter about it. It was probably the smartest business decision to make.
Yeah, because The Rock was there. But The Rock wasn't there after this. It was about when The Rock was almost out of there.
Which is probably why I'm kind of more bitter about it, because The Rock would leave like a year later.
It's similar to The Undertaker, like putting over like Lesnar, who it's like, oh, he's like good, but he's not really there a lot. So why, it's kind of like that. I don't know. But
again, obviously we've been on this one for a while, so let's move to 19.
Yeah, we go over 19 years old. I I like 19-year-olds. I'd fuck them. But no, they're good.
Hey, that's good though, because they're fucking legal.
They're legal and they're hot and they're skinny, and I put my dick in there, just fills their. I'm trying to think of what happened.
I'm gonna pour another drink on that note.
This is creepy, but I don't remember. So 19 was the one where I'd stopped watching a little bit of wrestling. I'd stopped watching, but I watched WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and then I'd been in and out throughout the year. But it was 19 was the first year where I started like zoning out a little bit throughout the year. But WrestleMania wise, I remember I could not wait to see Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. And I was looking so forward to that, and I'll just rattle them off. I was looking forward to Shawn Michaels versus Jericho. Couldn't wait for that. And I remember it. I remember Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon. And
yeah, because that was the big spectacle. That was the poster and everything.
Yeah. What? Oh, really?
Vince and Hogan. Yeah, that was the big, selling point was Vince versus Hogan, the 20-year rivalry or whatever.
Dude, it was Vince coming up with that pipe and the blood on his face and everything. I loved. That was so entertaining. It's actually one of the more watchable type of Hogan matches, which is so funny.
Because it was hardcore style. They were going through tables and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, it's bizarre. Against McMahon. Like, if you went back as a kid and told me, I just would have, like, my head would have exploded. But anyway, so I love that match. I love Shawn Michaels Jericho. You know, Shawn Michaels ends up beating Jericho, and then Jericho is like, "Oh man, I love you," and then he kicks him in the balls. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't like how they said, you know, I idolized you, Shawn, and everything. It was like, no, you didn't. He was like, you were wrestling then. Like, I was idolizing Shawn as a kid. Like, Jericho was like, I idolized him as a kid. It's like, no, you were in Japan.
Yeah, you were. I mean, you were in ECW in Japan, and
They really made that up to make it seem like Jericho grew up idolizing Shawn, you know.
yeah,
But whatever. It was a pretty good match, and it was the last time Shawn Michaels wore his old tights, I think, and I think it was his first WrestleMania back, right? Maybe.
yeah, he was in that 18.
This was
You're
Shawn
right.
Michaels' first WrestleMania back, and I was excited to see it. He looked great, and he was wearing his old tights.
Because Shawn returned at SummerSlam '02. You're right.
Yeah. And that was the last. I don't know. I love them. I like that match, and I like the Hogan thing, and versus Vince, and this was the Stone Cold Rock for the third time match. And so the Rock beat Stone Cold this time. Finally, the Rock was able to beat Stone Cold. I obviously think I believed obviously that the Rock was going to win. Because I didn't think you would have Stone Cold beat the Rock 3 times at WrestleMania.
3 times in what, 5 years?
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen. I think so. This is probably their. I don't know if this was their best match or if it was the one before, but
No, I'm with you.
This
I think this was the best one.
yeah, I think this one was the best one, and the Rock.
I
won.
think in part 1 of this series we're doing, I think we agreed in part 1 that we thought this was the best one.
Yeah, which is funny because the Stone Cold lost the other 2, but this is the one the Rock wins, and this was the better match of all of them.
Right, you mean the one Stone Cold won? He won the other 2.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It was a pretty big show when you think about Stone Cold, The Rock, Hogan, McMahon, Shawn Michaels, Jericho. I think this Lesnar almost killed him, paralyzed himself.
Yeah, it's funny. The matches you were talking about were kind of the polar opposites of the ones I kind of remember. I mean, I remember those. I didn't really remember the Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho match. But I'm with you. I remembered the Vince and Hogan, why am I spacing here? Because it was Vince and Hogan, and then you mentioned what was the big match besides Jericho and Shawn Michaels that you were mentioning?
Brock Lesnar and Angle?
No, it was before that. Because, see, I'm trying to remember what it was.
I'm sure The Undertaker had a match. I just don't remember what it was.
Well, yeah, because The Undertaker, he was in like a handicap match. Because remember, Fred Durst was there that day and did his intro for him.
Oh. I'm going to keep rolling. If I'm going to kill myself.
The matches I really remember, though, was
myself.
like...
Yeah.
I think it was like because Rey Mysterio took on Matt Hardy for the Cruiserweight title.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't...
That opened the show.
Those matches were so good then, but like those ones blur away from me. I don't know why I was like uninterested.
Well, at that time, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was still young, but like Rey Mysterio was fascinating to watch still for me. So I remember that one distinctively.
Yeah.
And then I remember Booker T versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight title.
And
that's when everybody thinks that Triple H should have given the title to Booker T.
That was
was that match.
That was this WrestleMania?
Yeah. Because, that was the first year of the brand split, Joe.
We ain't giving it to the black man.
So, yeah. And then, obviously, Lesnar and Angle, that's a fantastic match. And you're right. Fucking Lesnar about killed himself because he did a fucking shooting star press.
Yeah.
Or he tried.
Yeah, he really
and
came
it didn't
close
go
to
well.
If he hit that thing, it would have been... If he hit that thing, it would have been insane.
I know. But even though he didn't hit it, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
because do you realize how far away Kurt Angle was?
Yeah, this guy almost died. We almost saw him fucking...
I guess the old Brock Lesnar DVD that I own, there's a story that Michael Hayes has that once Brock got through the curtain,
yeah,
everybody was freaking out and like making sure he was okay. He's like, I'm fine, but I guess in his locker room, whatever, he was puking and shit.
Yeah, he was throwing up. Bad
from
concussion.
a concussion.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, man.
Yeah, man, that was a dangerous thing. Like I remember, you watched the new Brock Lesnar documentary. It's unbelievable.
Which one?
There's the new one.
I haven't seen it. Which one is it?
Came
A
out like
Blu-ray, DVD kind of thing?
Yeah, it was on the network, or it's 6 months ago it came out, dude. It was or 8 months ago. It's so good. Paul Heyman and all of them talking about how scared they were for him in the back and trying to take him to the hospital. And
wait, are you talking about the Here Comes the Pain one?
Maybe.
See, that's the old one.
No, that's not that one. Then it's a new one.
Oh, okay.
And it's like he I think it's a new one. You gotta check it out. I swear to God, it's new. And I remember him just saying like he didn't remember much. He didn't remember being in the like on the end of the match really. And
well, the funny thing is, Brock would, and we're getting there, but Brock, he would win the title this night, but things were going to change dramatically at WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
So let's move into 20 before it gets, fucking 7 o'clock in the morning.
I feel like there should have been a page turning noise when you said that, like.
WrestleMania 20, Joe, because you're kind of, are you paying attention to wrestling at this point?
No, the least amount I ever paid attention to wrestling was around 19, 20, and 21. 19, 20, and 21, and especially 20. Now, I usually would start watching around the Rumble, and then I would definitely watch WrestleMania, but I was in and out a lot. But I absolutely order WrestleMania every year. Okay,
well, I'm glad in a way because the fans are going to be really pissed at me because 20 was the last WrestleMania that I watched as like a diehard wrestling fan, and then from like 21 until like 25, Joe, I fell off the map.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I watched those,
yeah,
but I didn't give a shit about the builds and stuff like that. Kind of like you were with, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
So at least I've got you to cover me for that.
I'll tell you one thing that kept me involved was anything with Shawn Michaels. If I liked a program Shawn Michaels was working, I'd watch it. I was literally all about Shawn Michaels, and I was like, cool, he's like, I'm waiting for this.
I will tell you straight up.
I was fucking a lot of girls at the time, and I didn't watch wrestling.
One of the biggest reasons I bought WrestleMania 20, because this was the last one, I bought this one, was because of Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar.
Oh, yeah.
That was a huge draw for me because I was a big Goldberg mark back in his WCW run.
And it was retarded.
Yeah.
The fans even knew it was retarded. Remember the fans? People were
in what,
chanting
WCW
like,
or in WWE?
The WWE match.
Oh, yeah.
At 20.
This match is looked at as one of the biggest blunders of all time. Because of how bad the fans shit on it, for Brock going to the Minnesota farm team for the NFL and for Goldberg leaving to go fucking race hot rods.
They just knew. They were like, fuck these guys. They're leaving us. Fuck these guys.
Because you couldn't pull that kind of shit off anymore. The internet was running fluent.
Yeah. This is when I think they were like, oh shit. Like,
and it was in Madison Square Garden, Joe.
Yeah.
All the New York fans are like the most like up-to-date wrestling fans because it started with them, so they have to know everything. But like one, the Goldberg versus Brock, I obviously remember that one. But Triple H versus Benoit, right? Huge match.
And the one Shawn Michaels was in it too.
It was a triple threat, right?
It was so good. It was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Benoit. That was the best triple threat for the title I ever saw. Because
Triple H tapped out to the crossface, right?
I don't remember. I think so, but that I don't really remember. But I think it was. I'm sure it was someone. Yeah, it definitely wasn't Shawn. It was probably Triple H tapped out.
And I vaguely remember this, but I know it happened, and I remember seeing certain points, and it was like the Cruiserweight Challenge.
Yeah.
With Jamie Noble, Billy Kidman, and Rey Mysterio. It was just a crazy match. I remember small glimpses of that. Do you remember any more on that note?
Not really. I remember Jamie Noble and that stuff, but I don't remember that. No. Now, I remember the Big Show and Cena started the night off, and I hated Cena.
Oh, I've never liked him.
I hated Cena then. I didn't care about the Big Show, so I was like, what a stupid way to start WrestleMania, these two guys. And then, but then he like F5'd or FU'd the Big Show, I guess, and it was, I think he did that. And it was
Yeah, he
like,
did.
People were like, yeah, and I was like, that was pretty cool, I thought. But
Well, people were more amazed not that John Cena was beating the Big Show, but it was the fact he was FUing him. You know what I mean? Like, they were more amazed the fact that he could get him up.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I was like,
was this
okay,
the
whatever.
year Mickey? Was this the year Mickey took on Trish?
Mickey James?
Yeah.
Um,
Am I like, have I had too much to drink and I'm thinking something totally different?
I can't believe that was like that long ago. I feel like it was recently, but yeah, it might have been.
Like when she was like going psycho on Trish and shit?
I remember that. I don't know if it was during this time. I remember
If people in the chat are up with this, help us out here. Was that not when like she was like head over heels over Trish, like that lesbian feud?
I don't know. That was the United States title, that John Cena match, I think. I don't know what the IC title was.
I don't remember that one either. I think the only other match I remember very much so was, Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle for the title. Because in one night it was Eddie Guerrero and Benoit.
I don't know what the Intercontinental title match was that night.
I don't remember. I don't even know who at that time would have held it. I mean, the only person I can really think of was like RVD. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure there was a hardcore title match too. It's like, but again, it's remembering WrestleMania for a reason. That's just kind of what we remember from it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember, but I remember that fuck everything. Like you said, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle was good. I think Undertaker faced Kane again. It was they wrestled again. And then just Chris Benoit, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H had a great match.
They did have a great match. You're right, and I feel bad that I forgot that Shawn was in that match too.
You seem to have erased him. You forgot he was wrestling Jericho the year before. You're just like, I don't want to know. Shawn didn't exist.
Dude, I was still fucking bitter over the screw job.
It's unbelievable.
Thing, man.
You just put him aside. I put that match aside too, and I watched it recently. Recently watched it and was like, damn. Benoit was waffling himself. Like, he was beating the fuck out of himself. He was ramming himself off the ladder. Just, oh my God. Watch Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Benoit in that WrestleMania 20. It is so good. Like,
WrestleMania 20 was actually, it was a really good show.
It was entertaining. Like, it was, in a way, yeah.
And, honestly, if the Goldberg and Brock Lesnar match was under different circumstances, that would have been a really good match.
Perhaps, yeah.
Like, the way how they kept locking up for like 5 fucking minutes in the beginning?
Yeah.
And neither one of them would win. The fans were shitting all over that. Because they were still trying to play up that they were both super beasts and no one would win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna move to WrestleMania 21 because I'm done with 20.
Okay.
Let's go. Dude, listen to this. First of all, 21 is the WrestleMania where I had been watching the least. Like, I almost had no idea. I think it was like a couple of weeks away. I did not watch the Rumble that year. Maybe the only year ever that I didn't watch the Rumble. And I think a week or something, or days before WrestleMania, I realized WrestleMania was going to be on and went, oh shit, WrestleMania. When is it on? Isn't it on soon? So this was the most I had not watched wrestling. I would say that year, there was only 3 years where I tuned out a little bit. And this year, I think I'd only watched 2 months of wrestling, which is crazy for me. And I had no idea what was going on with a lot of people. I remember thinking, who the fuck is Eugene? I hated him. I didn't like that Bradshaw was like different. Like, he was like, he gone into that Bradshaw character, Layfield thing that he did. I didn't like that. That all annoyed the hell out of me. SmackDown was like really popular, and like Mysterio and all those people were really, and I wasn't into that, and I was like, why is this like this? I don't like this. I remember I don't know why, but at that time, like, Sasha Banks would have hated me because like she came in on that time and I was like leaving on that time. So I remember that. What do I remember? I remember that the Undertaker had a good match against Randy Orton. I think they did.
Yeah, I mean, because wasn't that during Randy Orton's Legend Killer thing?
Yeah, probably, yeah. It had to have been. I was really excited that Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle were wrestling. I thought that was going to be interesting, very good, you know. Like, damn, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, that's got to be awesome. And then I guess that was, yeah, and you're right, John Cena wrestled Bradshaw, I think, that year, maybe, or I think it was John Cena versus Bradshaw. I don't know if that's for the WWE title or for the world title. I get confused with that shit. So that's all. That's all I remember.
Because I think Triple H was Raw, so maybe that. I think the Raw title that was the World Heavyweight, and then Bradshaw and John Cena would have been the WWE title.
I have no idea. Sounds good to me. I don't know.
That's
all I know.
Joe, I was so out of touch by the time I watched this one when I actually sat down and watched it live, you know?
Yeah.
Like, dude, honestly, if it wasn't for you mentioning some of those matches that you did, I wouldn't remember them. Because the three matches I remember was Batista and Triple H. And then, honestly, that's... Because the other title match was John Cena and Bradshaw. That was another big match on the show. Other than that, I don't, that's about all I got.
Yeah, I don't remember. You know, something real quick I wanted to point out was in that Hulk Hogan Vince McMahon match, going back to WrestleMania 18. Roddy Piper showed up and it was funny. He attacked both of them. I just thought of that.
Joe, we are being corrected by Dawn that the Trish versus Mickey thing wasn't until 22.
That makes sense. I knew that was way too early.
Yeah, that was my bad. I apologize for that.
Okay.
Because I think that would have been so therefore it's Molly Holly and Victoria.
Okay, that makes more sense. And Trish Stratus defeated Christy Hemme during this WrestleMania because it was Christy Hemme did an interview recently about it. Otherwise, I don't remember the match. I don't remember it. And I wouldn't have remembered that unless I had heard her in an interview recently. So that's but I guess that's cheating because I don't remember that. I just was reminded of that by her on that podcast.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't remember anything else.
Yeah, you know what though? Kurt Angle wasn't he Oh, dude, I feel like a fucking idiot.
What?
This was the night Kurt Angle took on Shawn.
I just said that earlier.
You did? Fuck.
Yeah, I said Kurt Angle wrestled Shawn Michaels, and I was really excited for that.
That's one of my favorite matches of all time, dude.
Yeah, that was a really good match. I was I was excited for it. I was like, oh shit, because I didn't know that was happening. Because I remember I was like, oh, WrestleMania's this week. I wonder what the matches are. I had no idea. And when they said it, when I saw that was Kurt Angle versus Shawn, I was like, holy shit, that's gonna be good.
And it was. I'm pretty sure that stole the show.
Probably.
Yeah. Who did you say Undertaker took on? Was it Randy Orton?
Orton, yeah. And I think that's one of Randy Orton's better matches. I think.
Because one year Undertaker took on Mark Henry of all fucking people.
That was later. That was WrestleMania 25 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Right, we'll get there because obviously. But I just want to say that Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, one of my favorite matches of all time, and I'm sure that stole the show if we'd go back and watch it now.
I'm sure that Booker T and Batista and Triple H and Ric Flair maybe they all had something to do somewhere, and I don't remember it. It was probably had something to do with the world title, and I didn't give a fuck about the world title.
Remember Triple H and Batista was in the main event.
Oh, I didn't remember that. If that's who it was, I believe you. I don't remember. I just remember those four all. I don't give a fuck about the world title. So,
as a matter of fact, it's funny you said that because Ric Flair was with Triple H during that whole. Where he was kind of aiding Triple H to be the next Ric Flair, and Batista beat him for the world title.
Oh, yeah. I see. Dude, it's so funny that I can remember WrestleMania fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I can remember up to 15 perfectly almost, I feel like. And after that, especially WrestleMania 19, 20, and 21, I just couldn't give a shit. I don't know why. But WrestleMania 21, I think I remember hating WrestleMania 21. But,
yeah, I remember watching it not being too pleased other than Angle and Shawn Michaels.
I don't know. I don't know when Mark Henry fought Taker. Someone's saying it's WrestleMania 22. Maybe it was 22. I guess. I don't know. I remember 22 pretty good. But anyway, next time we are going to talk about WrestleMania 22, guys. This was part 2 of us going through WrestleMania 11 to 21. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you go back and watch part 1, WrestleMania 1 to 10. It was really good. Go back and watch that for sure. And if you missed the beginning of this one, go back and watch this. Watch the whole damn thing. You have part 1, part 2 to watch all day today now. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm burping. Like this video. Share it everywhere you can to get views, to help us get views and all those things. Please do that for me. We appreciate that. And also make sure you go to Justin's YouTube channel. It's The Best There Is Podcast. Okay, so don't just subscribe here to Joe Cronin Show. Also go over to Justin's YouTube channel and subscribe to him because he does all kinds of wrestling videos all the time. And stay tuned for his weekly shows that he's going to be really putting together that are just going to be a good place for you to go when you don't see enough Joe Cronin shit. Also,
lots of cool video series over there too, like the retro series where I review Monday Nitro in chronological order. Plus, I do the Impact Report for TNA. I mean, I cover a lot of stuff over there. And before we go off there, I do want to thank the solid 40 and now 50 people that have tuned in for us for what has been, I can imagine, at least 2 hours worth of podcast.
Yeah, we're coming up on 2.5 hours here.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. In the earliest of the morning when you have the least amount of viewership, but yet so cool. And it will upload onto people's channels tomorrow, so I don't know. It was a good
we
deal.
had a solid 40-50 for the entire show.
Yeah.
Those people are troopers, man. Not as troopers as we are because it's fucking almost 7 in the morning and we're giving people content.
Hey, man. WrestleMania 21. It was WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, and it pissed me off. I remember all those stupid promos they did in Batista, and they thought they were cute. I wanted to kill myself. That's what WrestleMania 21 is about, when wrestling started turning into what it is now, and you wanted to die.
Yeah, which sucks, Joe, because when we do part 3, it'll be WrestleMania 22 to 31. And, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, get ready. Ups and downs, I think. Yep. Guys, thanks for watching again. Joe Cronin from The Joe Cronin Show and Justin Bailey from The Best There Is Podcast. At Joe Cronin Show on Twitter and at Justin Bailey on Twitter, right?
Yeah, Justin Bailey, IND. At Justin Bailey, IND.
Justin Bailey, IND. I don't know why I just did that. I don't know.
Because it's fucking 7 o'clock in the morning.
All right, let's go text each other.
Get us out of here.
Let's text each other our privates.
Hey, why don't we do it on the air so people get a fucking a softcore?
All right, guys, stay tuned for part 3. It's coming up soon. We'll see you then. Goodbye.